home, people ask me, hey, Hula, why do you do it, man? Why? Some kind of war junkie? I won't say a goddamn word. Why? They won't understand. They won't understand why we do it. They won't understand it's about the men next to you. That's it. That's all it is.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, #1 listener-supported radio, the printing press for freedom at a time when freedom is needed the most.
Join me at Revolution Radio, Studio B, at 11 a.m. on Saturday for Free Association, when we take a look at philosophy, spirituality, psychology, social issues, and geopolitics. It's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Studio B at freedomslips.com.
What is going on here? I demand an explanation.
We work for a highly funded yet unofficial government agency.
An intelligence organization that fears intelligence, historically not awesome.
The United States is a democratic nation. Here the people rule. We build no walls to keep them in, nor organize any system of police to keep them mute.
Freedom isn't free at all, but it comes with the highest cost.
We have you, the listeners, and the hosts at
Revolution Radio.
for allowing us to bring you a platform of free speech.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines,
watch for now. Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. A broken heart's a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
As the 21st century began, human evolution was at a turning point. Natural selection, the process by which the strongest, the smartest, the fastest reproduced in greater numbers than the rest, a process which had once favored the noblest traits of man, now began to favor different traits. Most science fiction of the day predicted a future that was more civilized and more intelligent. But as time went on, things seemed to be heading in the opposite direction, a dumbing down. How did this happen? Evolution does not necessarily reward intelligence. With no natural predators to thin the herd, it began to simply reward those who reproduced the most and left the intelligent to become an endangered species.
Having kids is such an important decision.
We're just waiting for the right time. It's not something you want to rush into, obviously.
No way.
Oh, shit, I'm pregnant again!
I got too many damn kids!
2 trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
We've got a bogey. I'm on the way.
We got a bogey.
2 trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
It's Friday night.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 Guess who's back?
The ship has
landed. We're back. It's Friday night. My name's Jimmy. And Into the Microcosm is on the Welcome. Bruce McDonald's here. Epic Journeyman's here. Rio is on assignment.
Shiny and contoured, the railway winds, and I've heard this sound from my cousin's bed, the hiss of the train.
There will be no shortage of things to talk about tonight, and I also have Pollination coming on in the second hour to talk about spring planting, the cannabis. Sit back, relax, and take it easy. The boys are back in town, at least for the next 3 hours. Epic Journeyman. Are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. Damn. Doesn't look too crowded on the beach today. Watch out. Yeah.
I instinctively duck now. Yeah.
You just gotta, it's that 30 seconds before the rainbow on the sunset that really sets off the video that goes along with your intro. I'm saying it's exciting. Like right now, I'm watching flame dancing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
That's just me every day. Yeah.
I know. Well, now I'm seeing 5-0 rolling up and loading their 38s, which I don't want to see. But listen, hey, good to see you, man. I mean, no worse for the wear. I mean, a little tired, a little beat. I'm sure you're drinking your coffee just like I am. Now, are you drinking that really nice, smooth tasting Maui coffee now?
No, I got the Costco coffee this time, man. It's got 10% Kona coffee in there supposedly, but you know how that goes.
Well, at least you're not drinking that cheap freeze-dried shit. That Taster's Choice. No. Well, no. But hey, listen. So I was listening to Rents the other night, and he had some guest on there who was going to talk about the economy or something. And so Rents had set the guy up. This is what we're going to talk about next hour. So I tuned in. I didn't catch the guy's name because I didn't stick around for the economy report. But hang on 1 second. Let me get Bruce in here. He's here. He's there. He leaves vapors everywhere. That's the only way you're going to catch them is by vapor. From the Talamanca Mountains, deep in the Talamanca Mountains. Bruce McDonald. Mariuda.
Yes, sir.
Excelente. All right.
I'm here.
Fine. Good to see you. You look no worse for the wear as well as Epic Journeyman. Even though I don't actually see Epic Journeyman. But I do actually see you, and you look no worse for the wear. But listen, let me get back to what I was saying. It's like, I'm listening to Rents the other night. It's got this guy. He's got a guy coming on. He's talking about the economy. Some heinous thing that's about to happen and destroy the world. So I was sticking around because Rents, got me interested. He was going to talk about the economy. So I'm sticking around. Well, the guy was on for an hour. He spent 30 minutes of that hour talking about something that I've never heard of, which was this giant contest that happens on the big island over there where Epic Journeyman is. And every year they have a huge Hula contest over there. It's like a competition. And so he went into this whole thing and I'd never heard about it. So I was talking to Epic before the show. I said, dude, what's going on with this big Hula thing that's going on over there? Because it sounds like a giant celebration. I mean, people coming from all over the world. Epic Journeyman, what's going on with now, what's it called? It's called the Monarch.
The Merry Monarch.
The Merry Monarch. Yeah, that's right. Now, is it because of the butterfly or is the Monarch because it's the Monarch?
I think originally it probably has more to do with the Monarch, the actual Monarch at the time.
Right.
I get 60th anniversary.
But
so
it's the 60th.
Yeah, it's of this competition. I had a roommate, and she went there, and it was funny because I was flying to the mainland. I ran into her in the airport when I was on my way back. This is years ago. And like a whole incoming group of people all in their hula, attire. I mean, they're not dressed, to go perform necessarily, but they got like it's kind of like like a cheerleader competition in a way you imagine. They're not wearing grass skirts; they wear longer dresses and stuff. But so they are their competition outfit, I guess you'd say, all going through the airport. It was funny to see all these people swamping the airport in Honolulu back as I was outgoing. They were coming in. I didn't even know what's going on. Well, I've missed it every time. I've lived in the Big Island.
Well, let me ask you this.
2017.
Let me ask you this question. Now, when someone says hula to somebody, we're not from the island, so when someone says hula, lots of people think of grass skirts and don ho and ukuleles, that kind of thing with leis, this type of thing. But I mean, what is it called now? Do men do hula? Because I'm curious. Because when men do, like, for example, that fire dance that we just saw.
Well, Jimmy,
is that hula?
Jimmy, I got to break in here for a sec, Jimmy. What's a man? I mean, let's get that defined, Jimmy. What's a man?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, come on, buddy.
I'm wondering.
Can't just say man. It's 2023, dude.
Well, see, what I'm wondering. I'm just wondering if there was any controversy at the 60th anniversary, because I'm not sure if the fire dancing is also considered and called hula, then that's one thing. What I mean?
No, they have a men's competition winner for 2023. The Kane overall winner.
Well, what's it? So now when the
the Wahine overall winner and the Kane overall winner.
Wahine now Wahine is that now?
It's women.
Is that
women,
now?
yeah.
I know it's women now. When you say Wahine now, is that an insult over there?
No. Oh no.
I mean,
it's
are you allowed to say?
I mean,
it's
when
on
you walk.
Hold on there, Buckaroo. What do you mean it's on all the bathroom doors?
Yeah, they still have those, here.
Really?
We don't have the unibathroom, the unisex bathrooms over in Hawaii. Nowhere I've seen anywhere.
Interesting, because all the bathrooms here in California, when I go to them, they all have men, women, and then they have a man. It's like a person, and half of the person has a dress and curly hair coming down, and the other half has a short haircut, and no dress.
By next month, they're going to have the record album cover of Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog. That'll be on there. That'll be like the logo.
Well, let me.
It's gender neutral, right?
Let me ask you a question. You know what the biggest problem with those bathrooms are, and what they're gonna be in the future, no matter who you are? That means that now all of a sudden, all these guys are going to be coming into the women's bathroom and taking a piss with the seat down. And every time women go in there to use the bathroom, there's going to be some stranger's piss on there. You know, I mean, I'm sure girls, their bathrooms aren't necessarily clean or whatever, public bathrooms, but at least the seats, I'm sure, are pretty clean in there, comparatively.
Before I left San Diego in 2017, I went over to, they have a lot of microbreweries in San Diego, and I went to the Green Flash Brewery, and they had the unisex bathrooms there. And it was hilarious to me, man, because they have like the big fire things outside with the torches, like a campfire kind of setting. They sit up there and you grab your brew and just, kind of kick it out there. And you got to go to the bathroom, and they have like 3 stalls and then the stand-up urinals where it's like the full wall. You know what I mean? And so the girls just walking right in there. You're walking there. So, and it's like, I went in there and it's pretty uncomfortable. I think I don't dig it, and I don't think the girls dig it either.
No, these are the ones
ripping one out. The
ones I'm talking to. The ones I'm talking about are just one seat. These are the ones I'm talking about are like one-seaters. It's not like multi people in there.
Oh, these are full-on multi people. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, man. I'm like, dude, this is a stupid idea.
F that. It was funny too, the only reason I was kind of bringing it up, it became an issue like the other day, because I was standing there waiting to get into these bathrooms at work, and both of them were full, and there was another guy waiting for the other one, and he was standing there, and he goes in and comes back out, and some other girl's waiting for the bathroom over there. She goes in, and she's in there with the door shut, and she's yelling at the last dude that went in there about him pissing on the toilet seat. She was in there. She was in there.
Left down, right?
She was in there yelling at him. So let me ask you a question now. Okay, first of all, this Hula thing, just to get back on it. This Hula thing's going on. Now, are these just all, if you're white and you go there, do you get beat up? Or can anyone go? To enjoy it as
anyone could go technically, but it's ethnic dancing, so it's kind of it's not a rule that you have to be from the islands, but it kind of is, Huh. I wouldn't say it's an official rule.
Are there like
none of the people that I've seen competing there look particularly like they're from Minnesota,
Are there teams from Sweden? Like, here comes the Swedish hula dancers.
They do some curdling. The hula curdle all the way up. That's their skit, the routine, right? They come out there and they curdle the leaves, tea leaves over. Yeah, they try to get a bunch of bananas into a coconut cup or something.
Yeah, I don't think. I think it should just be for the people that are doing it instead of There's always these people trying to horn in on shit. Like, have you like I used to go to this gospel festival. It was like a competition. They used to have it once a year here in Santa Cruz at this big church. It was a once a year gospel thing. And it was like, you go down there. It was really great, man. It was uplifting. It was really good. It was really good feeling and everything. There's always these white people that would just kind of horn in. Like, all of a sudden there'd just be this group of white gospel singers from somewhere. And it just didn't have the same vibe as the rest of it. I don't know. Why can't people just leave well enough alone? Why do you got to horn in it?
Great skit on that, yeah. Just throwing "For Me Jesus" in every rock song, It's
I know they couldn't even leave.
There was that time when they were doing that, like they were adapting. It was basically all the rock stars who didn't quite make it to rock stardom, who broke out as Christian gospel singers.
Yeah, I know. That was
like, so instead of having the Backstreet Boys, you had the On Their Knee Boys or whatever, but it was a good way.
The Soggy Bottom Boys or whatever.
No, you know what I mean. It's like it just seemed like this is not a good idea. Same as this. It's not a good idea.
No, it's just. I don't know.
Not saying the Hula Festival is cool. That's cool. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's a bad idea if you're curdling team from Minnesota and Sweden.
Doesn't it suck that you got to clarify everything you say so no one gets offended by it?
Well, that was a subject on for people who are watching Bill Maher today. Elon Musk was on.
Really?
Yeah. So it was cool to see him on there. He was a featured guest. He did he's a 15-20 minute conversation typically at the beginning of the show with the featured guest. and with Elon, he went like 27 minutes today. So it was cool actually to hear his side of things. So people get a chance to check it out. It'll be on YouTube actually in a couple minutes if it's not already.
Suzanne said,
but don't wait till after our show, of course. Right?
Suzanne said Striper in the chat. Yeah, Striper. I actually went on the road with Striper, with a different band who was opening up for Striper. And it was totally mismatched. Striper's like Christian heavy metal, and the band I was working with was hard pop. It was Eddie and the Tide. Eddie and the Tide in the middle, and Striper headlining the show. Don't be fooled by the lyrics, ladies and gentlemen. Striper was a hard rocking band just like any other metal band. They're just using that gimmick to sell records. It's just like same thing as Motley Crue, only just the opposite. You know,
yeah, they were the Satanist team, right?
Yeah, they were the team Satan. Bruce McDonald.
Yeah, that's what I say about it. South Park did a good thing on that. I mean, well, it's debatable how good it is, but I mean, it's true. Let's put it that way. That's that episode they did based on that. That's exactly the way it was. Man. Yeah.
Let me just say, man. So much.
Jimmy, I watched that.
Go ahead.
I watched that Beavis and Butthead episode you sent.
It's not.
Man, that's depressing.
I know.
Like adult Beavis and Butthead.
It's crazy, huh? I mean, have you seen what Beavis and Butthead would look like if they actually looked how old they actually are? Have you seen like the old Beavis and Butthead pictures? Somebody to get on the Chat GPT and make it do old Beavis and Butthead pictures, making them look older, like they're senior citizens. Listening to Led Zeppelin at the Senior Citizen Center, watching old reruns of MTV.
Wouldn't it end up looking like the dad, the grandpa from The Simpsons, you know? So it'd be like,
I'll tell you what, man. They were watching, on that video I sent you, they were watching some video of some, I don't even know if he might have been a hip-hop act, but he was jumping around. There was a bunch of dudes that were naked, and they were like in jail, and they were dancing around and rolling on the floor and shit. What was going on with that dude? I have to say, it's been a long time since I saw a music video. Maybe that's what's on TV now, that kind of shit. Because at that point, if that's actually a real video,
it might have been a scene from Abu Ghraib. You know?
It's worse than I thought, man. It's worse than I thought. We're 8.9 miles away from the 40-degree mark, where they say that this magnetic pole action happens. That's the tipping point, and we're literally supposedly 8.9 miles away from the tipping point. That's right. How long will it take? I don't know. How many miles a day? I don't know. It's all up in the air now. Anything can happen. Bruce McDonald. Anything could happen. Look at Tucker Carlson's following the Alex Jones model, where Alex got thrown off the internet, man. Go over there to the show now. And now Tucker Carlson gonna have his own show. Wait, he did a 2-minute video and it got 60 million views
on Twitter. Yeah,
60 million.
Elon Musk talked about that today. They talked. Well, Bill Maher brought it up. Yeah, that's one of the things they talked about. You know, he's getting paid his contract. He's getting paid $20 million a year still for the duration of his contract. It's another 2 years. I don't think he's going to be saying or doing anything. That's negotiation. You know, negotiated settlement. So basically, he's just going to. He can say whatever he wants on Twitter. He's not going to have a show.
I saw
lose that money, right?
Rumors that the Don Lemon attorney is the same attorney for him.
Well, there's something odd about that. The fact that Don Lemon and him on the same day, and the fact that was it ABC or CBS executive the week before, within a week earlier. An executive. So there's a shakeup.
Let me ask you guys a question, man. Here, realistically, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's be realistic around here, like we are. So, remember, just like a month ago, Tucker Carlson played that video of the J6 event and all the backlash that happened.
4 minutes out of 40,000 hours. Yeah,
doesn't matter.
It's fake, dude.
He's got
footage isn't fake.
What I'm saying, look at he built the street cred, dude, because this is always gonna happen. It's like he's like What was the name of that? What was the name of that independent presidential candidate that just like went off into the weeds?
Ross Perot?
No, but it was like Ross Perot. He was before Ross Perot.
The Consumer Reports guy. Yeah, I can't think of his name right now.
Randy Rhodes' father. I'm pretty sure that the broadcaster Randy Rhodes, her father is that dude. He ran for president. Everybody was voting for him. He's the guy that had that commercial with the nuke and the little girl and the daisy.
Oh no, that was he was a Republican candidate, wasn't he? That was what's his face from Arizona, senator from Arizona. Yeah, famous.
I know. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank.
McCain.
No.
It's either from the
Goldwater.
Goldwater.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Barry Goldwater. He's Barry Goldwater, man. You know what I mean?
Well, he thinks he's going to be president, or he thought he would be president. There's no doubt about it. That was his goal.
He's just Barry Goldwater was just leading the sheep out into the weeds and just left them there, left them hanging, just like Ron Paul. Ron Paul did the same thing. Everybody venerates Ron Paul. Yeah, Ron Paul this, Ron Paul that. Well, what about Ron Paul in New Hampshire when he had him cold to rights, man? He had him busted. Black box voting busted those people, man. And he laid down because the Brotherhood said, look, buddy, you're not going to be president. So you better not make any waves and you better not make any noise. And he went away quietly. Yeah. I'm just saying, man. You know, people get pissed when you point out stuff that, you know. Anyway, I'm just saying, look it. Let me just put it this way. Let's just say that he went ahead and went ahead with what he found in that primary, that New Hampshire primary. He went ahead and he brought that to the table. That might have brought it to the table, opened up the wound, and fixed the problem long before 2000. You know, just a couple years ago. With what everybody's talking about. I can't talk about it on here, on YouTube.
No, don't do that.
but you guys know what I'm saying, though.
They talked about that on Bill Maher today too. Elon Musk talked about that, like how people getting canceled. They're both talking about that. Maher and Musk. That was a big topic of conversation. Is how the freedom of speech problem is that there's a problem with freedom of speech.
There's a problem. There's a problem
you
with.
You want to say. You have to censor yourself.
Here's the problem. There's thousands of people that are recording history daily. They used to be able to just erase it or not have the people that said what they said on there. You never heard from them again. The guy that saw the other guy over there, you never heard from him again. Well, now you can't do that. People are showing up with their video cameras and their phones and this and that, and they can't control that, man. And so what they're doing is anybody that has any kind of a prowess as far as doing investigative reporting or any of this other stuff, what are they going to do now?
Well, AI is going to solve that problem because it'll make all these videos on its own. And then there'll have to be some kind of verification system that this is an approved, fact-checked video, right, for authenticity. And that's how they're going to get by it. So you'll have only approved media as a source of factual.
I heard.
You know what I mean? Reference.
I heard somebody say, and I can't honestly. I wish I could give him credit, whoever it was that said it, because now I'm going to repeat what I heard him say. And what they were saying was, like in the future, if you want to shoot video on your phone somewhere, you'll have to get some kind of permission, and you'll have to pay by the minute to do it. That you're not gonna freely walk around and videotape anything anymore. That kind of thing. Now
you'll pay for authentication, right? That's what it'll be. Yeah, that's how they're going to solve this problem. That's where, I mean, it's coming, man. It is that because at some point in the very, very near future, probably this year, since the technology is already here now, you know, you're not going to be able to distinguish what's real and what isn't from a video anymore, or a voice print or anything like that. It's too easy to make a fake. So, yeah, you're going to have some kind of authentication system, and only the people who can afford to be authenticated in terms of media moguls in whichever way the form that this decides to take, will be able to afford it.
I see
as
your
a news
point.
Agency or,
the authentication will be like the old FCC licensing for radio. In other words, you can't have a radio station unless you get licensed. and you have to go through the FCC, and you have to get approved, and it's probably going to be the same kind of thing, man. Because there'll
be some kind of slang word. What do you think? What it is? There'll be some kind of slang word for the people who aren't, like like.
The point I was trying to make is we have thousands of people that are out there being citizen reporters, and it's almost impossible if you get any kind of attraction and you get any kind of an audience that they can go through and wipe out those people right off the internet, right off YouTube, and wipe out all their shows and everything they said while they were going through the specific history of what was happening. That you got a cognizant report from someone outside the system about what was actually going on. And so they have to go back through here and delete all this stuff that's on here. And there's channels being just wiped out for no reason, just not just ours, but other ones, and ones that, have a footprint. So we're moving into a dangerous time, where maybe this type of a thing that we're doing now. I mean, literally, what you just said, they could do that tomorrow, and everybody would be off YouTube. What would
literally tomorrow? Yeah,
literally. What would happen? What would you do tomorrow if you woke up, you went on the internet, and there was no YouTube? YouTube itself was gone completely,
and you had to sign up. You had to get it authenticated.
No more YouTube. Right? No, it's just gone now. Just gone.
But I mean, to start to try to get back on to re-platform some way, you have to sign up.
They just deleted everything. Everything that's on YouTube is gone.
Well, it would be too. Yeah, and then it have the.
So now, what do you got?
We need to think of the slang word now, because we need to coin that word before it happens.
I'm saying, what are you gonna have after that? What do you have after that? You have these other channels, these other places where people put in video. Right? So if Google just takes away YouTube, think how much damage that would do. All you'd have left is these other
temporary too, right? While they figure it out.
Yeah, maybe someday they bring it back, but in the meantime, hey, sorry, didn't you read the agreement?
Right.
You know what I mean? Your stuff is our stuff, If you put it on our air, then, it's ours. Goodbye. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Hey, Bruce, so moving into this time, what are you going to do moving forward? It seems dangerous to be a talker now. It seems like it's almost, I've watched it over the years, the self-censoring. Go ahead.
They won't be able to shut me down the way they shut you guys down in the U.S., but I think if you look at the Restrict Act, they're talking about VPNs, right? So that's how they would shut me down if I wanted to keep broadcasting from Costa Rica. But at a certain point, I think it may be prudent to just sort of let this stuff go, darkness is what it is, and there are times where it's just better to lay in wait and let the collective mass of people sort of come to a better position and then come back. We've done our part, man. Now, I'm not saying I'm going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. But it would be very difficult to shut me down from Costa Rica if I wanted to keep podcasting or stay on the radio. Very, very difficult.
So a broadcaster friend of mine, he's a fairly large broadcaster. And he used to do shows about subjects, in the middle of when these super high charged political stuff was going on. And I used to send him emails and go, what the fuck, man? Excuse me. What the F, man? Why are you talking about this when you should be talking about that? And he told me, he said, he goes, man, I'm on the mainstream or whatever. I'm on air. I'm on actual air. It's not internet only. It's actual air. And so I can't sit there and go through my ideas about the news every single day. He goes, I got to throw in the dancing bears every now and then. You know what I mean? The dancing bears are subjects, that are like fantasy type subjects, no real evidence, but things you can talk about. You know what I mean? Bruce, certain items are just acceptable on YouTube for whatever reason. Anything paranormal, anything UFO-like, anything like this. And so you saw a lot of people that used to do heavy news, they switched over to this paranormal stuff. They didn't used to do it, but now that's all they do is paranormal. Right, it's a self-censoring mechanism to stay within the safe zone and not venture into some of the deeper, harsher subject matter that people used to get into. Go ahead.
Well, it's going to be, very difficult to do what they're trying to do, right? I mean, you can hack just about anything on the internet now, and you can do, pirate radio will come back in a big, big way. It's getting like, we're the new Soviet Union, man. I mean, this is what it was like in the Soviet Union in the 70s and 80s. Am I wrong, Epic? I mean, isn't this what we fought against for like a 50-year Cold War?
It is. One of the comments again from the show just on Bill Maher, that was actually a topic. The guy was from the Soviet Union. He's a British citizen now. He was saying that that's exactly the way it was in the Soviet Union. The things we're describing now, this kind of self-censorship. The word politically correct, the term politically correct, comes from the Soviet Union when they couldn't talk about things without it being politically correct. It wasn't that those weren't true. It's that they had to censor that to be in, the favor of the party, right? And that's exactly what this is. So I think I've come up with a term. The term we're going to use is going to be a derogatory term. Some of us would embrace it, right? But it's going to be, I swear it's going to be nons. Like, you're not going to listen to those nons, are you? Non-conformist, non-authenticated, nons, right? Non-citizen, nons. Everything will be lumped into one, like probies, being on probation, right? Probies. Don't listen to those nons. Don't be part of that group. Where you listen to nons now, that's how it's going to be. I'm telling you, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, man.
I guarantee.
Believe me, man. I've been mingling with the public, man, recently because I got a new job, and I'm dealing with lots of people, and it's clear that most people. I could say something that I would say here, and you guys know what I'm talking about. But if I said the same exact sentence to somebody, they wouldn't know what the F I was talking about. And it's in that moment when I realize that I know that they don't know anything, that I just do not say anything about anything purposely. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I'm walking around out in the world bumping into people and spreading the word, getting the word out, telling them to tune into InfoWars. Hey, listen, Washington Sean, great comment in the chat. Cognitive domain management via tailored media diet / media consumption. We subscribe to channels and defend the media we consume as cybernetic steering tool. It leads us to our own confirmation bias. Yeah, that's what we in a nutshell. You get what Google, people hate Google, but Google gives everybody exactly what they're looking for. Whatever you're looking for, Google's going to give it to you, man. They'll give it to you right now. You just go over there. That's why they have so much money. It's because whatever you're looking for, they'll help you find it right now. And so, then once you've found something that you like and you found what you're looking for, now they're still going to show you that all the time. In other words, if you like big butts, every time you go on the internet, everything you see is going to be about big butts. All the ladies in the ads will have big butts. All the news stories will be about big butts. Or say you like cheesecake. Every time you go on the internet, cheesecake news. Or maybe you like dolls or whatever it is. Man, if you want it, you can find it with the internet. But what if you just couldn't find certain stuff, Certain stuff wasn't there. You can have this and that, but that's it. This or that. Which is it, Bruce? You notice how the choices are always like that? It's either this or that. And then what do you narrow down to the lowest millimeter chance.
Have you guys?
Go ahead.
Have you guys? Speaking of that, this or that, have you noticed the big flip flop on the jab with people like Fauci and Trudeau making vocal public statements saying we never forced anybody? Have you guys seen that?
No, I have not. If there's a video, get it for me, and I'll play it.
I think there's going to be some kind of stats dump in the near future that's not going to look too good.
Well, what about? I heard he was. I was going to say I heard that the Kennedy guy running for president was censored off of whatever network he was on when he made statements about the vaccinations, the jab or whatever. The Michelle Pfeiffer.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Yeah, he's at 19% polling right now, actually.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. Now, I brought it up before the show. I asked Bruce, hadn't heard about it. Now, what's going on, Epic Journeyman, with this tanker that's been seized by the Iranians? Is that true to form, or no? It's not.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Okay,
it's pretty interesting. It's the Gulf of Oman.
Yeah,
and unlike over the last 2 years, there's been 5 hijackings or interdictions of tankers by Iran, and some of them were done with drones. Remotely piloted, just the drones attacked them. Other ones were done with the speedboats come and take them and stuff. But this one was done with a helicopter, and it's interesting considering the timing of the other things going on. So it's this helicopter, commandos, it's actually like their equivalent of a SEAL team, landed on this tanker. It's a Turkish-owned tanker, right? Crewed by Indians. This is kind of important, I think, right? Not Indians like Native Americans, Indians from India, 24 of them. And they come down there with machine guns and stuff, and they give the thumbs up and stuff and the fist pump and everything when they take over the ship. But the thing is, Orgone just had that heart attack. Well, now I say it's not a heart attack. He just had a bad stomach flu or whatever, just the other day, like a day and a half ago, 20 some odd hours ago. So what's up with that? You add these things together. The fact that he passes out right in the middle of this conference, is this tanker gets done, and this conference, by the way, was celebrating Russia opening up this nuclear power plant in Turkey. Mind you, they're a NATO country, but they're still dealing with Putin, right? And brokering these deals.
There's so many rumors out there that was no accident. That Erdogan's. Listen,
I'm still cracking up that nobody says the same at 2 different sites. Some people say it's Erdogan, some say it's Erdogan. I hear Erdogan more often than anything else, but dude, it just cracks me up either way. Dude passed out.
Just say they're the leader of Turkey. That's all you got to say. But anyways,
it's right before his election.
The problem is,
been there 20 years.
listen. Hold on a second. First of all, we did that show like 2 months ago, whatever it was, when the earthquake happened, and we had the lady from Romania on here, played that clip where she said there was something funky going on over there. And listen, he's been citing in ways that goes against what NATO wants to do. And he also made noises a bunch of years ago, probably about 10 years ago. He was out there roaming around saying, what was it? All the Muslims, regardless of your sect or whatever your particular tribe is, that you should just put away your differences for now and get rid of the infidels. And once the infidels are gone, then they could all settle their differences, and he'd be happy to be the leader of that. And now you have nuclear weapons that are over there in Turkey. And then you have him making these weird moves against what NATO wants. And all of a sudden you start to wonder what's going on over there. Well, man, there was an earthquake, number one. And then he didn't stop what he was doing. So then he got sick all of a sudden real quick. He almost died. And there was all these rumors, man, up on the boards. There's people making speculations about what may or may not have happened. And one of the things that was said, and I didn't have time to look at it and verify it, so I almost don't want to bring it up, but it was said that when that happened, that Putin went back to the Kremlin. He was rushed to the Kremlin.
They appeared on TV together, remotely to celebrate like the ribbon cutting of opening up this plant. It's supposed to be done in person. So yeah, there's some shaky things here because India is a nuclear nation, and this. So here's this tanker, crewed by an all Indian crew under the Turkish flag, intercepted and hijacked, literally hijacked by the Iranians who are trying to build a nuclear weapon. And it seems to me there's a very high possibility and probability there's something related to that on that tanker. That's why they took that tanker, right? That'd be my speculation, but I think it's pretty good speculation.
I bet
think that's
you're
probably
right.
exactly what I did.
Epic. That's why you're the epic journeyman. And
sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, we're coming up 15 minutes, top of the hour. Polly's going to be here. Polly Nation. A little bit. Yeah, I almost said Polly Shore. It's going to be here a little bit later. The Weasel. The Weasel, buddy. Ow. It's Into the Microcosm. It's Revolution Radio. It's the Independent Broadcast Network. We're all fully listener supported, but come on over to the Revolution Radio Patreon. Become a monthly subscriber. You know, go over to the Zazzle store. Support if you can. If you're over on Into the Microcosm, find that red button. You can make a donation there if you'd like to. We just appreciate it. So, what's been on your radar this week, Bruce? No, I haven't talked to you since last week. So.
Well, no, gentlemen, I'm going to give that little bit of news, Jimmy, because there's no need to keep it really secret. But this might amuse Epic a little bit. So, Stardust Ranch is apparently sold. I think it's sold for $698,000. And a friend of mine went through the land registry records. And this is someone who's used to doing this sort of thing. And she reported that she's never seen anything like it, like so many papers filed, so many competing interests. And I'm not sure yet who bought it. But one of the companies on record looking to get it was the Tesla Corporation.
Nice.
Isn't that interesting?
That's crazy. Well, you know what's interesting too, though, isn't now Epic? Now didn't Musk? Didn't he buy up the old missile transport tunnels and then bought one of those tunnel machines and said he was going to start digging train tunnels? Wasn't that going on? I mean, in and around Arizona? Musk?
Oh, the MX missile system was started during the Carter administration.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Supposedly ended in the Reagan administration. But nobody thinks it really ended. In fact, those tunnel videos you see of like the tanker trucks and the big semis driving miles and miles underground, that's those tunnels. Because the idea was to play a shell game with these ballistic missiles, land-based, and just move them around all the time so the Soviets never knew which one to hit, which site to hit, because it was like a shell game. They just moved them around all the time on these rail cars inside these tunnels. So when that got canceled, the tunnels were still there. Now, the interesting thing is, supposedly those tunnels, allegedly, there's pictures of them, but who knows how this is real, were actually powered by nuclear power, these drilling machines. And the Air Force ran ones, mostly it was Air Force actually, because they were in charge of the Strategic Missile Command at that time. And the thing is, what Musk is doing, he made the boring company, and it can bore a tunnel, miles a day, big enough to drive a car through. And he's trying to connect things all over the country that way. And you might be right. It might be that these are pre-existing tunnels. I never heard that he bought those tunnels. That's new to me, but those tunnels definitely exist, and they're definitely there, and they're huge, not little tunnels.
No, not by. And he's buying up a bunch of land down by the Salton Sea too. There's some shithole town down there. It's got like 300 people living there, and now all the property values are going up because they found materials to make batteries down there. So they found lithium all up in the Salton Sea area, and now they want to go down there and strip mine it. So if you owned a property down there you could probably buy a property there for almost nothing in that area. Salton Sea used to have a lot more water in it than it does now.
Yeah, it used to be like a tourist destination, and people would go diving in it.
I used to go there. When I was a kid.
It smells terrible. Yeah,
it smelled, but you floated in it because there was so much salt in the water.
Yeah.
You just sit there and float. You floated almost like on top of it. It was taking no effort to swim in it at all. It was a trippy place. But anyway, there's like a bunch of resorts and stuff there. They're all closed down because the water receded. But the resorts and everything are still there. I think he's moving in. It's like,
I wish we'd have Into the Microcosm headquarters set up there.
I don't know, man. Those people don't look too healthy that are down in the lithium mines. Hey, Bob, I don't understand it. I just moved in here 3 weeks ago, but I already start looking at my hair, man. I lost my
hair.
So
those hyperactive guys they send there, and all of a sudden they're all mellowed out, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Natural lithium. It's always good for, the soul. You ever go to hot springs? It's got lithium in there, in the water, because it's part of what, comes up in that water. Everybody's smiling when they're in there. Nobody feels bad when you're in the lithium pool. Your pores are all opened up and you're just sucking it in, man. Your body's getting all those minerals, all that magnesium and everything. Feeling good.
So they spontaneously combust on the way to the shower.
Yeah. You could spontaneously combust.
You could. Magnesium and lithium and all. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. You remember the armchair survivalist? God bless his soul. He's dead now. He gave a lot of his years to the alternative media. But he did one of those cleanses where you do the niacin and they sweat, similar to what they do down in Hollywood. At the oh man. Anyway, he used to be a gunsmith, and when he did this cleanse, all this black stuff started coming out of him, out of his pores, and it was like all this oil and all this stuff, the chemicals that he was working with when he was cleaning guns in a gun shop. So all these chemicals and stuff started coming out of him. And when I heard him talk about it, I tripped on it because, it was like no one ever told us anything. It's common knowledge now. Everybody knows that your skin is like a sponge. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows.
Right? Everybody knows your skin's like a sponge, right? And so now, it's like you got to be very careful about what you put on your skin because it absorbs it and brings it into your system. And so that's why essential oils were always such a magical cure for so many things, is because you rub it on yourself and then that goes into you. Yeah, Scientology protocol, exactly, Doug. But anyhow, so the point is the reason I'm bringing this up is because when no one ever said anything to us, you get gasoline.
When Mercury was a little kid,
gasoline.
Mercury I got.
Gasoline on your hands. I mean, I swallowed gasoline once. I swallowed a mouthful. And the whole night I was paranoid I wasn't going to wake up. But I'm still here, all that time later. But I'm just saying, I mean, think of all these potions that you put on your skin. Like at one point, you were putting this lotion on yourself, and it was made...
It puts the lotion on.
Right, but it was made out of all these really natural ingredients. It was really a nice lotion to put on yourself. But now, there's a million lotions because they found out people like to put lotion on. So there's a million lotions, and absolutely none of them have anything in them that's actually, comes from nature. Most of that shit is chemicals, and you're just rubbing it on yourself, or you're scrubbing it into your skull. You're using the shampoo. You know what I mean? I mean, so it's common knowledge, right? So why would you put all that stuff in there and be so, negative towards the human being? We need natural stuff, not stuff that appears to be natural. Something it smells just like blueberries, but there's no blueberries in it. It smells like fish, but tastes like chicken. I don't know.
Can't help but think of Willy Wonka.
All right. We're going to be right back in a few minutes. It's into the microcosm.
I'm becoming less defined as
pollination's coming up, top of the hour. Gonna stop by, give us a what's up on the springtime planting, cannabis, and other healthful items.
Sometimes I can see right through myself. Less concerned about fitting into the world, your world that is, 'cause it doesn't really matter really more. Doesn't really matter really. It doesn't really matter really more. None of this.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamine.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Lullabies in an ancient tongue. Politicians, fuel of fire. Innocence wakes, we're hang on fire. 21st century schizoid man. Destiny.
I bring you a message few of you will be able to believe, a message of great importance, a message I alone was able to read in the fires of the universe. But be not afraid, my friends. I also bring you the means with which to save yourselves. I will tell you tonight. Remember that. Bring your friends here. What are you selling, mister? Snake oil?
Don't forget, you can catch Bruce McDonald 7 a.m. Monday through Friday on the Independent Broadcast Network, and also the Epic Journeyman on 8 p.m. Pacific Sunday nights. My name's Jimmy. This is Into the Microcosm. We'll be right back.
There is only me. There is no fucking you. There is only me. There is no fucking
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hey everyone, it's Barbara Jean Lindsay, the Cosmic Oracle. If you have questions about your past lives or future plans, need answers from the cosmos about your love life or career, or just want to keep your finger on the pulse of the planet, check out my show, The Cosmic Oracle, here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Don't miss the Crypt Rick and Jonathan Show every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Studio B, right here at Revolution Radio. The journey begins to fun, health, and freedom.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right?
that everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Hi, this is Robert Stanley. I'm the host of the Unicus Report, where we explore enigmatic events taking place both on and off this world. Please join me Mondays from noon till 2 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, Freedom's Lips.
There have been imaginative science fiction writers for generations.
Be evasive.
But that doesn't mean that they're telling the truth as opposed to fiction.
I'm aware of some archaeologists that have uncovered large bones indicating giants in Virginia. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, indicating that there were giants before the Nephilim.
And sons of God, plural. They weren't talking about Jesus coming down and
No, that's right. Yeah.
I'm Steve Crawford. Join me every Thursday night in Studio A at 6 p.m. Eastern for Factor Theory Live.
Hello.
Find us on www.revolution.radio. Great guests and great stories. What do you believe?
Join me at Revolution Radio, Studio B, at 11 a.m. on Saturday for Free Association, when we take a look at philosophy, spirituality, psychology, social issues, and geopolitics. It's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Studio B at freedomslips.com.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
Let's show them what we got.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
It's Friday night.
I've been stuffed in your pocket for the last 100 days. When I don't get my bath, I
Take it out on the slaves.
So grease up your baby for a ball on the hill.
And polish them rockets, boy, and swallow those pills.
And say, Space Lord, mother.
Every Friday night.
There's a car in the field now in a column of flame, with 2 doors to choose, but only one bears your name. You've been drinking my blood, well, I've been licking your wounds. Well, I shave off the pitch now, and the scope of your tune, you'll sing.
Bruce McDonald. He said his throne is 100 million miles away. He drinks from your tit and cries about it every day. He's got the strength to split the world in two. He ate all the rest, Bruce. Now he's... He ate all the rest, now he's got to eat you. Man, see, you're hearing all this talk about the alien invasion. People are like,
yeah, man.
People just love it. They just can't wait for it. It's like it's nonstop. I mean, how many?
I can wait for it. I can totally wait for it.
Yeah,
I know.
Me too.
That's what I mean. How do you know? I mean, how do you know those special places in the Southwest where the portals opened up? And the red-haired giants came out and ate man corn. They grew humans just like corn, and then they just come in and you know what I mean?
Somehow we'll just always find our way to cannibalism on Friday nights.
Long ham is now a thing. I mean, I think you can even buy it at the store at this point. I mean, at this point, anything goes. Like I said earlier, there's man, a woman, and then there's a character that has a half a skirt and a half a wavy hair, and the other side has a crew cut and no skirt.
One of the nons.
That's where we are. So, I mean, but you know where else we are? We're at springtime. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be lots of podcasts. Since there's a podcast about everything, there'll be podcasts about the equinox, the spring equinox coming up. Did the spring equinox already happen? Did it pass me by? I don't know, but
I think so, actually.
You know who knows is Polly Nation. Are you that?
I think so.
Fantastic.
I think I'm here.
You are here. Bruce McDonald, welcome. That is Polly Nation over there. Epic Journeyman, you know Polly. Now, Polly goes way back with the show, probably before Revolution Radio, even before that. So Polly's been a good friend of the show for a long time, and now he's over on the network. He's got a DJ show on both Saturday and Sunday. You're on at noon, right?
I'm on at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so that's noon your time. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you're on at noon and on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast, and 3 o'clock on the East Coast. But that's not why we brought you in. So I, hope people check it out. It's a good show. It's a great show. I listen to it every weekend because, I'm doing stuff around the house, and you have a great show, man, and a great variety of music. So it doesn't matter what kind of music you like. It's like the weather, man. Any minute it's gonna change. But
thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. But we didn't bring you on here to just blow smoke up your ass about your DJ show, because it's not blowing smoke. It's real, but the thing is, we did bring you to talk about springtime and its planting season, and it was just 420, so we missed you on 420. We were going to have you on then, but we missed you, and now here you are, though. So come on in and tell everybody, if you wouldn't mind, if they were interested in growing their own medicinals at the house, whether it be cannabis or herbs or whatever it is. I mean, Polly, you love plants, and I mean, that's pollination,
Yeah, that's where the name came from. I do love plants, and so my advice to anyone who's just thinking about getting started, let's say you haven't even started yet, the one thing that I want to put out there right away is that it's not as hard as you think. These are plants. What they want to do is live and grow. And all you have to do is give them the right conditions to do that. And it turns out that cannabis is one of those plants that's like extremely forgiving for meeting those conditions. So when people I can't grow cannabis, I've only grown tomatoes, I can't even grow radishes but I'm telling you right now, cannabis will grow whether you want it to or not. Yeah, there's some stuff that you can know that'll help. But I think cannabis is one of those plants that has so much information around it that people get really intimidated. And so what I want to try to do is just simplify it, okay? Here's what a seed is. Think about it this way. A seed is just a hard drive that's been saved by another plant, the plant that made that seed. Now, everything in that seed is all the information that plant needs to grow in the exact same environment where its parents came from. That's how plants store information. So, even if you're not there, the plant is going to grow and find a way to figure out how to grow, even if you're not there. But if you are there, you can, if you learn how plants move and how they grow and what they need to thrive, you can nurture these plants. The more you nurture, the more medicine they give back to you.
One of the things I noticed when I started growing my own medicine was the concept of the solar panel and some of these larger leaves, and how these larger leaves are like solar panels, and they're taking in energy to give energy to the flower to come out. And
yeah,
I
mean that's a great analogy. Those big leaves you're talking about are commonly referred to as fan leaves, and that's basically what they are. They're nature's solar panels. But I mean, that's not just cannabis. That's every single plant that has leaves, right?
Yeah. So I mean, this is a microcosm of the universe, basically. I mean, how everything works. It's like we're just coming up with the idea of the solar panel. But it's not. It's like somebody saying, "Hey, I found a new way to sail across the ocean without using any fuel. Like you can use the wind, man. It's new." It's like everything that's old is new again all of a sudden, Polly. So it's not that complicated. People can just grab some seeds. Now, let me ask you this question.
I can even supply the seeds, to be honest.
All right. Well, and
if people want seeds, that we can hook it up. Don't worry about that.
Okay. Well, I know Bruce will definitely want to get some seeds. But what I was going to ask you, Polly, and so I'm in California, and so in California, cannabis is legal. But what I've noticed since cannabis has become legal, and you can go to the store and get it, there's two distinct differences between the two states that I've been in where cannabis is legal. So in Colorado, the retail scenario is completely different than it is here. There, if you have a store, you have to grow your own. You can't buy stuff from that somebody else grew. So it's a whole different scenario, and the availability of certain products in Colorado is different than it is in California. Now, this is my point, but I had to give you the other information. Here's my point. What question I was going to ask you is, I've noticed a distinct steering away from strictly sativa, and now everything is a hybrid with indica and sativa. And indica has got a whole different thing about it and a whole different way that it interacts with the body. So I was curious of what are the supposed benefits of putting these two things together, other than knocking your ass the hell out on the couch so you don't give a shit about all this nasty stuff that's going on around here.
Okay, well, first let me address that most of the so-called hybrids that are being sold in the dispensaries everywhere, it's all based on marketing. Okay, it's basically like a gimmick. People want the best of both worlds, so they call it a hybrid. At the end of the day, a hybrid is going to be a mixture of sativa and indica. Many people say sativa is more uplifting. It's more energetic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
If you want to clean your house with a toothbrush, you smoke some sativa, and you'll be done. You'll be done in a couple hours.
Right. So
but
what I'm asking,
if you want to chill and watch a movie, you smoke some indica and you're couch locked, right?
Right. So that's why
these hybrids, they sell them just as marketing.
Dude,
they're not going to affect everybody the same way, first of all, because everybody has their own individual endocannabinoid system. It's like a fingerprint. So like we could smoke the same joint, Jimmy, and you would have a completely different effect than I would.
Yeah,
and it could be the same thing. So, but the hybrid maybe would affect you differently than the hybrid would affect me.
I understand what you're saying, and you know what I'm saying.
Most of it's just marketing, man. I mean, there's good weed and there's bad weed. That's what I say.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's marketing at all. I think it's a distinct system that's been put together to couch lock people and not have them being up and cleaning their house and thinking and being smart and doing this and that. You're keeping people stoned out of their effing minds, man, because this isn't the same kind of weed that there used to be back in the day. This shit is like heroin, man.
Here, let me just tell you one thing, though, because I used to work for a company that distributed cannabis in Canada when it became legal. Unfortunately, due to greed, they got shut down because they got busted growing in an unregulated area. So, and all I did was literally just put weed in jars, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they would have the same strain, okay, and they would label it 3 different things because there were 3 different brand types, marketing to 3 different demographics. So there was like the medical demographic, there was like the young college kid demographic, and then there was like the old school hippie demographic.
Right.
And they had a different name for the same strain of
a different
weed.
name. Did they have a different description of how you feel as a result of it? Because I mean, a lot of
it
this
was all just marketing, man.
It's all
and
bullshit.
it's the same friggin' plant.
Get out of here!
I swear.
So can I ask, where are you? So you're Canadian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, born Scotland but raised Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Bruce is your best friend now. All of a sudden.
So.
He's Scottish and Canadian too.
Start playing bagpipes together.
I know you guys are going to get a bagpipe band together.
Yeah.
Are you part of the? Do you have bloodlines to Wattadale and on?
I'm a Sinclair, man. I have bloodlines to Rosalind Chapel.
There you go, baby, Bruce.
So you're not tied in with Margaret Trudeau, right?
No, I tried, but she said no.
So listen. Do you know what SHRED is in Canada? SRED, Scientific Research and Experimental Development grants for tax credits for technology companies?
No.
Okay, so all labeling on pot will be correct. Okay, they passed law, and I do this for a living, and I had a client, and they created a whole inventory system, and they've taken over the market in Canada. They're millionaires, these guys, a couple tech dudes. Well, not millionaires, but they're doing well. And it is unbelievably regulated. I mean, you get shut down if they find any weed in your system that was not grown by a licensed grower. So it's almost like homemade moonshine or something, right? If it's not like
that.
Man, what's that?
I gotta say,
it's not Crown Royal. Ain't going in the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, and so these days of mislabeling things is all over now in Canada, anyways. And I can tell you that definitively.
Well, here's the thing. At this point,
one thing I should point out too, though, is that in the fine print, if you read the fine print, it actually does tell you the same strain on every single jar from each of the 3 brands, but you have to read the fine print, and nobody reads fine print, especially stoners.
When they're couch locked, right? Exactly.
Yeah, they're couch locked. They can't even see the goddamn.
But you're right. No, it is extremely regulated. The company I worked for got busted growing in a room. It was a hidden room. Okay, so the inspectors came in. They're like, "Hey, what the hell's this room here?" Because it wasn't sanctioned by the government, it wasn't regulated, and they got literally shut down, and all their assets got sold off to all their competitors.
Yeah.
Well,
and a ton of weed got wasted.
Yeah. Well, listen, I didn't mean to get all conspiratorial about this strain, but I'm telling you right now, it's legal, and and they're putting people in a tailspin because it's not the same. It's not your granddaddy's grass. This ain't the grass your granddaddy smoked, but you can have that kind of grass, and if you get the right seeds. Now, are there heirloom seeds on strains? Like, for example, there was a strain that used to be called strawberry cough, and you can't even find it anywhere. If you do find it, it's like already ground up and rolled into something, or it's already ground up in a bag. I mean, you can almost not even. Now, what about that? Are there like you have heirloom tomato seeds? Are there such thing as heirloom sativas that exist?
Sure I'm sure there are, Jimmy. But okay, let me ask you this question: how would we find out if they were legit? Like, I could just tell you that I could put like 20 seeds in a bag right now and tell you they were whatever I wanted. How are you going to find out if that's true or not?
That's true.
Like,
and the other,
who can do that? I don't think many people can do that.
No, it's true. And I'll tell you what.
That's why I want to get rid of that whole thing. Like, people just need to like not freak out about strains. Okay, like maybe pay attention to sativa or indica, but don't freak out about strains. Because
how do you
here's what's
know?
going to happen.
Yourself.
Don't strain yourself. How do you even know? How do you even know though?
The best thing to do is, okay, when you start growing, the best thing to do is, most people will say, if you find a male plant, kill it right away. Kill it. Get it out, right? No, don't kill it. Let the plants pollinate. You take those seeds, you plant them the next year. Those seeds are going to have all the information from your climate, your microclimate. They're going to be in those seeds. Those seeds are going to produce better males and females. You do it again the next year. Maybe you might want to isolate some males. Maybe you might want to isolate some females the next year. But the more you keep doing that, the more information gets stored in the seeds. And that gets carried over to next season. As long as you don't move anywhere crazy, the seeds are going to have the information for that climate. And they're just going to keep getting better. So it doesn't really matter what strain you start with. By the time you've done it 4 times, it's a completely different plant.
Well, not only that, but like you were just saying, it's like the only reason that I resonated with whatever this was, with what it was called, was what the name of it was. And so, like, when I go someplace and I say the name of it, I'm only vaguely remembering what it might have felt like the last time I had it. So however I get when I get it, maybe it's like an effect, like an effect where if I take a sugar pill, I think it's making me feel better.
It's lead placebo.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's a placebo because you thought it did this because it said it did that, and that's what.
You're not wrong. I recently just got a strain the other day. It was called. I'd never heard of it. It's called Gaelic Fire. Okay, now me being Scottish and my mom's name being Gail, I instantly was like, oh, we're gonna try that, and it was only like it was a medium range THC percentage, but when I smoked it, it was like, oh man. This is like, I got to put this down for a second. This is really strong. Like, was that placebo just because I really like the name? I don't know.
So over here in Costa Rica, we have a lot of original strains. There's one over here that it's been the same for centuries. They call it High Red Natural. And I had smoked in Canada. I came here in 2014, but I mean, the super strong weed has been around in Canada since like 2002, 2003, as you well know. And, this stuff by THC count alone, it only has about 1/5 of the THC of the marijuana in Canada.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing, Bruce and Polly. Maybe you can enlighten us on this, Polly. Now, I've been told that the reason the THC and the content is by how compact the buds are. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there's really any more THC than, say, the stuff Bruce has. It's just his buds are more spread out. They're not as dense. So it would... Go ahead. Paul, are you there?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, you're not wrong. First of all, like the density of the buds is just going to increase the actual like physical content of the amount itself. But there's another thing here that I think is important to consider, and that is the other cannabinoids that are present in that strain. So we could have a strain that's let's say 15% THC. Okay, you smoke it, you get a nice glow. It's nothing special. You get another strain that's 30% THC. You smoke that, you're like on the couch for an hour. But you get one that's in the middle, and it makes you more high than the one that puts you in the couch for an hour. Why is that?
Yeah.
Now, I think the reason is because there's this thing called the entourage effect. Exactly. So certain people will have certain affinities to certain terpenes, certain cannabinoids besides THC, CBD, CBN, CBG. There's over 40 that we've discovered, and they think that there may be hundreds more. These all are different in every single strain, in every single plant even, and they're going to react differently to every single person's endocannabinoid system. And so what I think is going on here, and I'd love to, if anybody knows this has been proven, I'd love some information on this, but the entourage effect is what is sort of driving the sort of stone level, I guess, if you will, for certain people. It's like if you have a strain that has high concentrations of CBG, for instance, maybe that sativa that's only 14% will get you way higher than one that doesn't have any CBG in it at all. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Washington Sean. Hey, Bruce. Washington Sean, can you call in? I want you to call in for sure, because I want you to get into this conversation. Bruce, can you give out your number so Washington Sean can call in?
864-810-1039.
864-810-1039, Washington Sean. 864-810-1039. I think. I don't know. It's been 420 for the last 2 hours for me.
There's also some studies that suggest that eating certain foods while enjoying cannabis can augment certain aspects, because a lot of terpenes in cannabis are found in everyday foods as well. So,
hey, we'll talk a little bit about that. Bruce, drop that number in the Skype chat, and I'll give it to Washington Sean. I know he didn't catch it.
Well, there's one, I think it's called mycene, that's found in mangoes. And I've read a few things on, the pothead websites that if you eat mangoes or, drink mango juice and smoke, that you're supposed to get more high.
Well, those dudes in Apocalypse Now, when they were going up the river to find Kurtz, the one cook got stoned and went out to find some mangoes, but he found some tigers instead. Never get out of the boat. Not unless you're going all the way. Washington Sean, are you there? Are you going all the way, man?
I'm gonna try, brother.
All right, so hey, yeah, can maybe get a little closer to your phone, maybe turn up the volume. So Polynation, Washington Sean, Polynation. So Washington Sean's making some comments in the chat. So jump in here a little bit about what you were saying in there about the clubs and what's been going on with this corporate weed. Because I think there's something more. I think there's some sinister stuff going on here, man. It's not mom and pops.
Okay.
It's not mom and pops anymore, man. These are the same people that are making that shit that's in the grocery store and calling it food. Go ahead.
Yep. That you hit it in a nutshell, and it actually goes back to a deep dive I did into a certified B Corp grocery store.
Get
called
close.
New Season.
Get closer to your phone there, man. I could barely hear you.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you got off. Maybe he's going to come back. All right, so Polynation, what about it? I mean, these corporate growers. Is there a...
Okay,
go ahead.
There's actually something interesting I learned just recently is that there's a lot of indoor growers that were doing things like tomatoes and peppers. And they actually, because...
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
He's back.
Okay.
There he goes.
So
Are
a
you-
lot of these
are you-
vegetable farmers, they switched to growing cannabis because they could do 3 turns in a growing season instead of just one.
So now when you say 3 turns and you're saying hydroponics, what I know about the hydroponic system is that, this is basically a chemical-induced system of
These aren't hydroponic systems, though, Jimmy. These are flood and drains.
Okay, flood and drains.
They grow in media.
Okay,
yeah.
so they're
But
flooding and draining
They can turn
it.
them over like 3 times a year, the whole factory.
Right, but they're flooding and draining it with something that's not water. And the thing is,
they're adding stuff to the water.
right, so just like when a guy used to let his cow out in the pasture and it ate grass and then you had a steak, it tasted one way. And then all of a sudden the corporate farms came in and started feeding your cattle a bunch of shit and started injecting them with a bunch of stuff. And all of a sudden the meat's not the same meat as your granddaddy used to eat. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that I think there's something more sinister about how they're growing this weed, man. I think there's something
more sinister than money.
More sinister than money.
Oh, that's about it.
I mean, it's all about money, obviously. But then why take something that's already there? It's already whole. It's already organic. It's already doing its thing. Why do you need to mess with it? And that's the thing.
We don't have to.
Well,
we can just grow it ourselves, man.
That's what we're talking about tonight in the Microcosm Poly Nation. Now, Poly, do you have like a place where people can send you an email if they have questions or if they want to partake in some of these seed offerings that you're doing?
Yeah, I have a Discord server, and that there's a link somewhere in the Microcosm page as well. But if you look
got
for
Revolution Radio over there, and you got this other chat, why don't you give it out over the air and tell people where they can go, because they're not necessarily in the same chat room there.
Yeah, it's One Polynation in Discord, and there's also a YouTube channel. But the easiest way to get a hold of me is through Discord. Just get in there. Anyone can join. It's totally free. And a lot of times I'm in there hunting for music for the shows too. So there's sometimes you get a preview.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, that's where you can get a hold of Polly. And so Polly.
And yeah, I have tons of seeds, man. I can give away tons of seeds. If anybody seriously to a good home, I'll give anybody. Even if you fail, at least you can try it. Like I'll send you enough that you can fail a couple times and still have some left over. Like,
nice.
I can't believe more people don't take me up on this offer.
I
can't
know.
even get
Epic
these
Journeyman. Epic Journeyman, step up and get some seeds, man. Have your uncle grow those seeds over on the Big Island.
Yeah, I'll get some seeds. I got room. I got a whole bunch of land up there.
That's what I mean.
Totally.
Because eventually I'm not going to be just giving them away. They're going to be like, okay, top donation for the show gets like 12-pack of seeds or something. You know?
I'm down, yeah.
You know what's really cool, man, is I saw this guy and he got a bunch of old lawnmowers, took the motors out, and then put these big giant plant buckets in there, and he would move them around in the sun and roll them around in the yard. You know what I mean? On the top of the old lawnmowers. So if you go, you can recycle, reimagine things, ladies and gentlemen. I saw another thing. It was a meme on the internet earlier about a couple years ago, and it was like an old lady and grandma, and she planted her weed in a wheelbarrow.
Right on. So she could move it around.
Yeah, she could run away when the cops were breaking down the door.
Oh. No, see, I was thinking you could move it into the shade if it was getting too much sun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, so I gotta just say, I've been growing my own medicine now for like 5 years, and every year I get beautiful flowers at my place, and it's no matter what you can call it whatever you call it, but when it comes up out of the ground and you just put it, you dry it and you go through all that. Because it's not, it's not a simple situation. Like when it gets to a point when it's time to harvest your hard work.
So when you grow, Jimmy, you grow in the ground?
No, I grow in a giant pot, but
yeah,
it's
okay.
It's special mixtures of different stuff.
That would also be one of my recommendations for any newbies that want to just get started. Don't put them in the ground. Just get a nice big, 5-gallon pot minimum 5 gallons.
Yeah, I got big old giant ones, man. But I mean, like for example, last year was the first time this ever happened to me, and last year I had some of the best flowers I've ever grown because I've gotten good at it over the past few years, and I had this one of my most beautiful flowers, and it rained. Okay, it never rains here in the growing season ever. It's not when it rains here. But it rained that year, and I didn't do anything about it. I didn't pay attention to it. Like I didn't.
You just touched on something that's like what we're trying to prove.
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let me finish what I'm saying. Mold, man. I got bud rot and mold on my shit because it got wet and I didn't realize it, and it got too wet, and it didn't dry out. Because it was kind of dense-ish, and then all of a sudden, all my flowers on that whole plant, and then I realized that it had like spread everywhere. So I lost almost half of my plants just simply because I didn't know that I should cover it in that kind of a situation, Polly. So I mean, I lost the best part of my work for the whole year.
So let me ask one question about this environment that you're growing in. Is it exposed to like wind, or is it like sheltered?
It's semi-sheltered. I mean, there is really no real wind. Like in that season around here, there's no wind.
Okay, because see, this is what you want to do to avoid the mold, is you want to have constant wind. Because if there's constant wind, the mold can't establish itself.
Yeah, well, I definitely.
So, like, you just got unlucky with the weather there.
I know.
Mean, like, yeah.
I know, and I'm part of a Facebook group called Growers Helping Growers, and there was a bunch of people that were putting all this plastic up and shit, and I was like, what are they doing that for? You know? And that's what I figured out what they were doing it for.
Well, this is one of the advantages to having your plants in a pot or a big container, is you can move them. Like if you get a weather notice that's going to be some like crazy rain or hail or something, you go outside, you bring your plants inside until it's over, right? You can't do that if they're in the ground.
Walnut report in the chat said a leaf blower. Hell yeah, man. Now nachos in your brain, dude. Let me just say, that's some serious intellect going on there, bruh. I wish I would have known I needed to do it. I would have done it. I mean, wouldn't you rather? Isn't it easier to blow your car out with a blower than it is with a vacuum cleaner? That's right, Casey. You got that right. Anyway, yeah. So pollination, come on back. So now it's not just the growing of whatever it is, the medicine or the herbs or whatever it is. It's not just the growing. Now I'll just say this. If you were doing it from a profit idea, like you said to yourself, maybe I'm just going to grow me some weed and make me some money. I'll get outside of this corporate system or whatever, and I'm just going to make me some money. Well, wouldn't you say by the pound, seeds are worth way more money? Like 100 times what you could get for the flowers themselves. In other words, if you go to the retail environment for cannabis, you're going to find seeds cost like $10 a piece. You get 10 seeds for $100. What about that?
Depending on the strain, yeah, for sure.
All right, so if you got a bag of seeds that you everybody says cut down the males, well, like you said, if you didn't and you got those seeds, now what? Now you're in business for yourself. You just make up a name and send out 10 of them for $100, and you're gold. Just think up a name.
I don't even need to do that. I have like probably 10,000 seeds from like the last 3 years of stuff that I've grown, and I can just throw any label on them that I want, and I could make like $4 million right now.
Damn.
Because who's gonna check? Like if you buy those seeds for $100, those 10 seeds. You buy them. Let's say 5 of them don't even germinate, okay? The other 5, maybe 2 of them are female, maybe 3 of them. Maybe you get a male, maybe you don't. Maybe they're all males. Who knows?
Well, let me ask you this. How do you feminize a seed?
Oh, you can soak it in a solution with, I think it might be silver, colloidal silver. It might be that.
Get out of here.
It's something like that. You can soak your seeds in something that'll guaranteed feminization. But I mean, I don't think there's a need to do that really, because it's not like
play Boy George music.
Well, hey, I know, and you know, maybe colloidal silver. Maybe if people started taking colloidal silver, something might happen there. Maybe.
But I mean, it's not like you get a male in your garden and you're like, you're as soon as you see it, that means you're too late. It's not like that. It has to like mature, and the flower has to open for the pollen to come out. So like you have time. Like it's like days, maybe even weeks of time to get rid of them. So yeah, I mean, it's not, you don't have to worry about like feminizing and cloning, and you don't have to worry about any of that. If you get some good seeds, or if you get a plant given to you, even that would be even better.
So people are asking, is it against the law to send seeds, or do they have drug sniffing dogs down at FedEx or whatever? People are paranoid.
I don't actually know if it's against the law, but I will say that my seeds have reached the other side of the world.
It's some in bird seeds.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah,
I mean, Bruce.
I think you'll get by. Yeah.
You should hook up with Polly off air and give me your information so you can send you some seeds, man.
So now what you do is you put it in the post and you say it's arts and crafts and that it's a gift.
Interesting. So
yeah,
you could put it
because I made those seeds.
Yeah, and you could put a needle and thread in there, and say it's pieces for a necklace.
They don't even bother checking. Seriously, they don't.
Nice. Yeah. So maybe they've even made it as far as Australia.
Oh, they have.
I know.
I can prove it.
I know. Luna's in the chat. She says yes, they have. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Allegedly. So give out your Discord again, so people want to get a hold of you on Revolution Radio. They can.
Okay, my Discord is One Polynation. You'll definitely find it if you type that in.
There you go, One Polynation. Well, Polly, it's getting to be here. We got about 20 minutes till the top of the hour. You're welcome to hang out. You don't have to talk about weed coming up on the next hour, but you are welcome to hang if you'd like to hang out with us. Epic Journey.
Yeah, I'll chill if you guys
want. I got a question in the plant spectrum here. Polly, have you ever listened to an album? I'm sure you have, by Stevie Wonder called "The Secret Life of Plants"?
I haven't heard that record, but I've read.
Whoa! You got to listen to it now. It's a double album set, actually.
But it's based on a movie. Found out that the book was debunked.
Well, what about
from that documentary, right?
What about this now? There's a bunch of stuff out there where you can find that they've taken, and you can hear the music of trees now because they figured out how to listen to it and translate it algorithmically translate it into music.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so while I was looking into that, there's this thing, I don't know if anybody knows. Okay, I'm going to really get geeky here for a second. Most plants have this thing called stomata. Okay? What stomata is that's what regulates the amount of moisture during the process of transpiration. So that's like the equivalent of a plant sweating, okay? So when a plant needs to sweat lots, it opens the stomata. And when it's not very humid or it needs to save water, it closes them. But when you look at these things under a microscope, they look like mouths. So what if these are the things that are making the noise? Like, that's what I thought. And it's like, so you've got like literally like, thousands of these things on a plant, potentially even millions.
You're right.
And they're all singing at the same time.
No, that it's called in sonar when you're chasing submarines around. There's a thing called flow-induced resonances.
Right.
So we just can't and that's what it is, like blowing across the top of a bottle. And so when you have a bunch of these things at that tiny level, it's going to be a high frequency, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so based on what the diameter of those stomata is, and the wind and everything else, they can basically talk to each other through song, which is freaking cool.
Would you say that the mitochondria is like a network, and that the trees and everything is on the network? It's growing on the forest floor. Everything's connected. So, for example, one tree is not doing too well. It needs more water. So the other trees, they filter water over to that tree, this type of thing. Mushrooms grow in certain places, sort of nodes.
Not only that, but the trees can decipher which trees are their actual offspring and prioritize nutrients to those trees. And it's all through the mycological network.
All right, so here...
Yeah, if there was no mushrooms, the trees wouldn't be able to do this. It's like the internet of the forest.
All right, so here is this dude. This guy invented... Here, I'm getting this video. This guy invented a device to listen to trees. Hi, it's tiny. All right, hang on.
Where do I get one?
Hang on, I don't know, but I'll let you guys know what this channel is. Hold on a second. So the channel is Brut India, and it says here, it says this artist entrepreneur invented a device that lets you listen to music created by plants. Keep your sound on for this one. All right, we're gonna do that. Mr.
It's an ultrasound gun. You know what? You can get one.
No, it's actually a sensor that he puts onto the plant. I'll put the video on YouTube. Here you go.
We are going to listen to this vine sing right now. Let's hear it play some music.
I really enjoy listening to philodendron and snake plants. Any plant that inspires me along the way on a hike with a beautiful view.
Let's tune into the sounds played by this plant.
We just attach 2 sensors to a plant's leaves, and PlantWave detects these slight variations that are happening in plants based on them moving water around. We graph those variations as a wave, translate them into pitch, and then run those pitch messages through instruments that we design. So the result is this continuous stream of pleasing music that gives us all this sonic window into the secret life of plants. Many of you have been asking, what would a redwood tree sound like? Let's see what melodies it creates when we connect the plant wave.
Wow.
If a plant is really underwatered, it might play just a few notes, whereas if a plant is really healthy and thriving, it will be going through like the whole range.
Looks like we have a plant here that may not have made it through this heat. So let's check it out. Let's see if it can make any music. Yeah, nothing.
Let's see what happens when I water the plant. Let's listen. Every plant is different and every leaf is different.
So here we are listening to this rubber tree. And now let's check out this pothos.
Plant wave actually works with mushrooms as well.
So let's check it out.
Most of the time with mushrooms though, the mushrooms are growing out of a dead plant. And so you're actually hearing the connection between 2 mushrooms through a dead plant.
Patucci's worked a decade on these products. So I'm not selling this. I have no interest in the selling of it at all. I'm just letting you guys know it exists. What do you think, Paulie? What do you think, you guys? What do you guys think?
I have way too many questions already. Like, if I was programming that, I could just say, like, instead of play that sound when the plant does something, play a different sound, and it would sound totally different.
So you're saying it might be like the crickets in slow motion sounding like the devil, or
No.
So
What I'm saying is the software that they're using to interpret the signal coming from the plant is based around parameters that have nothing to do with anything except sound and auditory stimulation. So they're just assigning parameters to things that are physiologically happening that don't make a sound. That's what it looks like to me, and yeah.
So when when a redwood is rocking in the forest, if no one's there to hear it, does it actually exist?
So
there's no
Neil Young a lot. Yeah.
He's been searching for a heart of gold, and he's getting old.
Yeah,
I know.
I remember when this came out, and I read the article. And what it is they're assigning different notes to instruments to the frequencies that are actually being produced that are out of the auditory range of people. You can't actually hear these, but without the device I was describing, an ultrasound gun, you actually can hear them, and I've heard them. It's really interesting. I have recordings of them.
Wow.
The real sounds are way more interesting than this.
Do you have the recordings? Do you have the recordings in a situation where you could play those recordings?
Right this moment, not this moment. I can
well, maybe what you should do is sift them out of your satchel and bring them to the table.
Here's cool. Like, so wandering around through the fields, I was chasing down some electrical lines, and I had this gun. I had the headphones on. I was listening, and I started getting these weird sounds, and it turned out what I was hearing. Check this out. I was hearing different things like ants and wasps and butterflies.
No.
And the different sounds. Yes, for real. And the sounds of these different plants. And when the wind would hit these certain plants, or you get in a field of these certain plants, you'd hear this weird, like almost siren sound kind of thing in the ultrasound. And it was a specific. It's a kind of. It looks almost like kind of wheat or barley kind of look. I don't know what kind of plant it is. I'm not an expert in this particular plant, obviously. But yeah, and it made a specific sound. And then you hear this other sound on top of it, and it was the wasps that were flying through the field. It's wild, dude. It's a lot better than this because it's real. Now, but it's still the same premise in the sense that it's not a sound of a musical instrument. It's ultrasound. It's out of our frequency range. It's way higher than we can hear, but it translates it down to a spectrum within our hearing range. So those high frequency sounds I'm hearing are actually much higher than that, but I can hear them. You know what I'm saying? It just translates to something that's in our audio spectrum.
Well, a long time ago, there was a call into Art Bell, one of the Art Bell shows. And he was taking calls from people who had near-death experiences. And this dude called in, and he had a near-death experience. And what happened to him was he was on the phone in his house, and it's old school. He has the phone in his hand, and there's a little curly cord, goes to a thing hanging on the wall that was connected, to a wire that went outside and up to the pole back in the old days. And he was on the phone, making a phone call, and lightning struck the telephone pole. And the lightning went down the line and down into the phone and into the dude and electrocuted him. And he died. And when he died, he floated up he said, I was floating up to the ceiling. And I floated and I was hovering and I could see my body laying there. And I could see the phone in my hand. I was laying there in my wife beater, in my boxers. I was laying there, and I could see the plants, my house plants, all around me, and they were all like wilting away and like moving away. That he like described this sort of emotional response to his death by these plants, and I found that to be really interesting. That's what I remember about the story, is that made a super impression on me at the time, because I thought to myself, well, so he's now in some etheric conjuring of himself floating in space outside of his body, and he can see the plants and the energy of the plants reacting to his tragic death right in front of the plant. So I mean, it's almost like when you go out there and pull weeds, the plants are going, ah! I mean, it's almost like you should, even eating lettuce. I mean, what about that? You can buy that lettuce at the store, that butter lettuce where it grows, it's still alive. Just eating lettuce while it's alive. I don't know, Polly. I don't know. What do you think? Are we going in the right direction? Or are we going backwards?
Well, I don't think we need to worry about eating lettuce. That's one thing, because lettuce just grows back after you eat it. You can just keep picking lettuce from the same plant for a long time if you wait long enough.
Interesting. Well, let me ask you a question. If a portal opened up and a bunch of red-headed giants jumped out and said, "Where's my man corn?" Do they grow back after they're eaten? Because I know they built these caves high up on these walls with these little tiny foot ladders so they could get up there. Only their foot would fit in there. And they all started living up in the side of these mountains, up super high, away from the man-eating redheads, the Scottish red-headed giant Tuatha De Danann coming out of those portals eating man corn. It's horrifying. But I'll tell you what's not horrifying. You know what that is? It's the time for us to take that top of the hour break. And so here in California, coming up on Memorial Day weekend, is the Cali Roots Festival. And also, I want to let everybody know, in case you didn't know and you're a fan of Aerosmith, if you go to aerosmith.com and you go take a look at the clock that they put on there, because they're going to be making some big announcement coming on Monday, and I'm assuming it's going to say they're going on their last tour ever. I don't know. We'll see. But so yeah, there's a big festival coming up here. That's the Cali Roots Festival, and there's a bunch of big bands. Wu-Tang Clan's going to be here.
Wu-Tang.
Yeah, Wu-Tang, Dirty Heads, Shabba Ranks, I think. There's a whole bunch. There's 4 days of, people partying, basically. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of a weird scenario now. It's kind of a weird feeling. I mean, there used to be no real wondering if you went to an event like that, if there'd be like a thing or whatever. But I mean, now it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Things are getting dangerous everywhere.
Well, speaking of those festivals, those like solo cups everybody gets their drinks in, right? Those little plastic cups.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfect for starting little plants in. Just saying, they're perfect. You punch a bunch of holes in the bottom, you bottom water them. That means put them in a tray, water the tray, not the plant. And then, from there, you can put them outside. Wouldn't recommend it, but put them in a bigger pot after that. Those solo cups, perfect for starting plants.
Well, I'll tell you what's perfect is it's break time. So, Polly, you're welcome to stick around and hang out. Bruce McDonald, Epic Journeyman. We're going to take a break. Here's one of the bands headlining one of the days, the Dirty Heads. It's into the Microcosm Revolution.
Here comes music to set your soul on fire.
Crack in the vinyl takes me back in a time where my Catalina idol spent my last buck on the title of my first car, my first love, where I got my first rub, where we did our first drugs. And the bikers and the vatos that I grew up with, trying to steal up my zapatos, now they give me shit for never being home for parties and the weekend trips. Well, fuck it then, I'm coming over, man, I'll be that quick. You keep telling me to make it, to the spot where we would stay lit, and finish bottles never wasted, cause that's where I'm from. I'm feeling like old school mixtape. That's all I need. I'm killing that low ride Sunday. That's all I need. Everybody sing. There ain't no place I'd rather be. I'm talking about right here, right now. That's all I need. Yeah, but this reminds me of a good time back in the day. Rolling through my neighborhood, must have been a Sunday. Caddy with the bench seats, pouring East Road, singing Scarlet Begonia, Cinderella's Road. The Boston's in the back will make it sound so sweet. The drop Cadillac will make it dance to the beat. I love the way it feels when the sun shines down on me. I'm feeling like old school mixtape. That's all I need. I'm killing that low ride.
Hey, Polly, go over in the YouTube chat and put your Discord link in there. People are looking for you. Can't find you.
On it.
We like the breeze, float straight out of our lids. Them, they got booed by these hard rock Brooklyn kids. Us floor rush when they DJ booming classics. You dig the crew on the fattest hip-hop record. He tucks the kinks and sinks into the sounds. She frequents deep, fatter joints called undergrounds. Our funk zooms like you hit the Mary Jane. They flock to booms, man, Boogie had to change. Who freaks the clips with mad amount percussion? Where kinky hair goes to unthought of dimensions. Why's it so fly? Cause hip-hop kept some drama. When Butterfly rocked the light blue suede Pumas. What by the cut? We push it off the corner. How was the buzz entire hip-hop era? Was fresh in fact since they started.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests. We're very happy to be here this evening to honor a very wonderful man, a man which we all love so very much. This man have done more for the blacks than anyone. The man I'm speaking of?
Oh, baby.
Let's give a warm round of applause.
Dedicated to all the pretty girls, all the pretty girls in the world, and the ugly girls too. Cause to me you pretty anyway, baby. You give me your number, I call you up. You act like your pussy on interrupt. I don't have no trouble with you fucking me, but I have a little problem with you not fucking me. I'ma take care of you, cause you say you got my baby and I know it ain't true. Is it a good thing? No, it's bad, bitch. For good or worse, makes you switch. So I walk on over with my crystal.
Dick in hand, this shit that has you tucked down. A little city, chillin' in the North Bay. Needless to say, my boys don't play, fool. Yorker side, and you know how the song goes. In the back, sippin' purple chongos. Don't look for trouble, but it always seems to find us. 40 gripping, panties sippin', and it seems right behind us. Quick left, one blow, KO. Hit the road to the next episode. In the saga of a few fellas. Oh, what the hell? I guess I better tell ya. It's Friday night, I got a brand new kit on. I fed the heat for me to get bent on. Hit the country club to pick up ML 80 West. Back to the hotel. Hands in a packet of blackjacks. We got the goods, now we're heading for the hoedown. There goes the telly, so fella won't just slow down. Park the ride in the front like a sick one. Just in case.
It's Friday night. We're cocked, locked, and ready to rock. Hour number 3.
So hit the light, man. I just might, man. Try and throw this thing all night and get her so sprung that she'll drop some mail so I can cut turf and hit another hotel.
It's going back to the hotel. Epic Journeyman, are you going back to the hotel to see if there's any wahinis after the show's over? Epic Journeyman's checking the perimeter.
Looking for wahinis.
Are you going back to the hotel?
You know, it's tempting. It's not that far.
I know. Well, what do? Just walk on over in a slight breeze, the palm trees swaying in the distance, and you just feeling the warm, tropical air. Are those? Let me ask you this question now. One of the things I remember, one of my visits to the islands, is I stayed at some place called Billy's, Captain Billy's.
Uncle Billy's.
Uncle
Kona,
Billy's, yeah, Uncle Billy's, exactly. And at Uncle Billy's, it was a U-shaped hotel. And then down the center, they had all these different trees and, plants and so on and so forth. It was like a jungle in there. Well, apparently there was a bunch of birds living in there, in those trees. And so these birds started singing at like, I don't even know what time it was, probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. Do you have these? What's up with these birds now? Do you have birds that sing at 3 or 4 in the morning, or were these just singing because the lights were on at the hotel? They thought it was
what kind
dawn.
of birds there are. There's a kind of seabird. I think it's a native name. I can't think of what the name is at the moment. But they sound like either a cat or a baby crying. That's one. They go off in the middle of the night, dude.
Yeah, that's like, well, this whole hotel, this whole inner courtyard was full of them. And it was louder than shit. And because of the 4 walls around it, it was like an echo chamber. And I was like, what is up with these birds? And the thing was, I got sent over there to map the island for T-Mobile, and I was traveling with this Iranian dude, and there were no hotel rooms, and so they had to put us in the same room. And so I was sitting there the whole time. This guy was, across the room sleeping in one of these beds, and I was across the room. And the dude's snoring the whole time. I'm like, fuck. And I couldn't, I didn't even know. There was no way I would ever agree to stay in another room with somebody. But there were no rooms at the time there. So we had to stay in the same room. Dude's snoring the whole time. Finally, I fall asleep after this long, drawn-out trip. And everywhere I went, because I was traveling with him and he was Iranian, every time I went to the airport, every time you
search you,
I got searched, and plus our bags were full of like GPS and all this, and all the cables were all rolled up.
Tools,
yeah, and all the cables were rolled up neatly. The kind of if you look at it with an X-ray machine, it looks like something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wrapped around some TNT or something.
Yeah,
a bunch of fuses.
Yeah. So I mean, and when you go to the islands, when you go from back and forth, you can imagine how many times we got. I mean. We're going to all the islands. Anyways, the point is those birds started singing at 3 in the morning. I didn't get any sleep at all. And I wondered about those birds ever since Epic Journey. Thanks for clearing that up. Now, these just sing in the middle of the night for no reason. There's like those frogs that you got, the coqui frog.
Coqui frogs. There ain't nothing like coqui frogs, man. But in Kona, they don't have them because it stays... So basically, they're on the... It's not wet enough for them over there. So it's a little bit too dry for them. They'll get there, and when they do go there, it's like a manhunt. The whole neighborhood will show up, try to find them before they take a route over there. But generally it's all on the eastern, Hilo side of the island and south side of the island. And I tell you what, man, it's as louder than fire alarm. It's ridiculous how loud they are. You won't sleep.
I wonder, do they do it? You think they do it because they know when the sun's going to come up, or do you think they're doing it for another reason?
Well, the frogs, they do it for another reason. The birds, yeah, they just call out in the middle of the night for no reason. They start, it sounds like if you're walking along the beach, you'll swear, like in the wind's blowing, you're walking along the coast, you hear like a baby, like, who left the baby out? Where's this baby coming from? It's this bird.
Well, maybe they know there's only 8.9 miles left till the tipping point of the magnetic field. Right. You never know.
Well, a lot of migratory birds use the magnetic field to navigate, right? So
exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Birds are dropping out of the sky.
Well, the roosters over here, they all go off at 3:10 a.m., man.
Do they?
No matter where you are on the island, they sure do. Yep. I don't know what that's all about. It's a ways before the sun comes up.
It's just a cold. It's not the flu.
That's right.
I guess apparently Bruce exited stage left. He didn't say goodbye. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Hopefully we'll check you out tomorrow. And if
he
not,
might be out there feeding the jaguars again. You never know.
That's true. You could be right. I am about to step into the kitchen, my man, and grab myself a fresh, hot cup of coffee. So in the meantime, why don't you chill here with our friend Polly? And wow, I'm having a deja vu about having a deja vu while I'm on the air doing this show with Polly on here. That's a trip.
That's always cool.
I know. All right, listen, I'll be right back.
So you say they debunked that Secret Life of Plants recently, or just remembering from back in the day?
Okay, because I have the book.
Yeah, the book's from like 1970 something, right?
Yeah, so I learned about this book, and because there was another book that I read, which I think is better than Secret Life of Plants. It's called Supernature.
Yes.
And that book had experiments that made a lot more sense and got better results for me. And it spanned a different, it didn't just stick with plants. It spanned a whole broad.
Yeah, it introduces the term the superspectrum hypothesis, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. At least it did to me at that. And I read this book when I was probably 14 years old, maybe 15. When I read Secret Life of Plants, I was in my 40s, and I didn't even get halfway through it without a ton of questions coming up. And then I ended up finding a video that's experiments, they kind of, but there was so many variables that they don't account for that it's kind of not really accurate science.
Yeah, it was sensational, like the movie, the supposed documentary, and called documentary, sensationalized the sound of them screaming. But again, it's translated, right? That's not the sound it actually makes with the microphone held up to it. It's the electrical signals, right? That they, and then they, just like we just heard the music being played.
Exactly. So those same signals, same signals can be depending on who writes the program, can be singing or screaming.
And I recall, it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. It's just like a warble, it sounds like a scream, right?
Have you ever seen the animation of this? I'm pretty sure it's mostly theoretical because I don't understand how they can do this, but they're okay, if you were a butterfly and you looked at this flower, this is what it would look like. And
I've seen those pictures, ultraviolet, yeah.
And it's totally different than what we see.
Yeah, they see patterns. They see actual symbols on the flowering plants they know when it's pollinating.
And those can move.
Yeah.
So to them, it's all animated too.
Yeah, it's totally a trip, man. It's been a long time dream of mine to make glasses you could put on that'll frequency translate the visual spectrum, like I'm talking about that ultrasound gun. That'd be awesome.
Would be so
cool.
If
you could actually see all those same things that ants see and the bees and butterflies and stuff.
Hey, if you need a test subject, man, I'll wear them.
Yeah, totally, right. What's cool about that Secret Life of Plants thing, though? This is the part I don't know if it's debunked or not. Is there's two parts that are interesting to me that I'm not sure. One is where that same screaming thing that they say they scream is when they actually killed something, did some kind of violent act in front of it, whether it be slaughtering an animal or killing other plants. That was the association to make, because they could see the electrical signals change that show some kind of distress. And I don't know if that, like I said, the variables in there are such that how are they measuring it? Did the table vibrate when they were doing it or something? You never know. You know what I mean?
Well, that same experiment was done in Supernature, except they had 3 subjects. One of them had cut the lawn and the other 2 hadn't. And the one that cut the lawn, his own lawn, away from the whole experiment, the one that when he was in the room with the plants went nuts.
So they sensed the blood on his hands kind of thing, or they?
I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I don't know.
And then the other one in Secret Life of Plants is the Kirlian photography, where they cut the leaf in half, and then put it on the Polaroid, and run a current through it. Then it showed the whole leaf, right?
Okay, that's cool. I've never seen that.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. And I've never seen that debunked, actually.
What about this aura photography?
Yeah, that's it. The Kirlian photography, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, have you seen?
Shows the whole leaf. Yeah.
Have you seen this same photography with and without an Orgone energy generator? You see people's energy field change from a dull brown to a bright pink and with white. It's literally amazing. And some of these, even the powered, there's people that are put together like a powered Orgone device. Have you guys, Polly, have you ever made these Orgone power generators?
No, but I was into those a couple years ago because I thought, like, hey, those look like they're pretty easy to build.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I've never considered how it would relate to photography. Like, if you could make a lens like that, that would be cool.
It would be interesting. Now, I made some, I made some for myself. And one of the things I noticed that the very first one that I made, I just got some resin and stuff, and I put some different metals and stuff in there. I wasn't trying to make it look like a pyramid or anything like this. But it was really crude and rough, but it was just the general idea of it. And I put it together, and I put it on my windowsill. And within 5 minutes, I had a whole shitload of these small finch-like birds outside, chirping and singing and, being all happy, pecking and sharpening their beaks on the branches and stuff. And so I definitely became a believer in that moment of that Orgone energy. And then I've seen, guys make these cannons out of white buckets and resin and giant pieces of aluminum or copper conduit, that they use for plumbing. And there'll be a cloud up above, and they'll take these Orgone generators and position them and literally blow holes in clouds. There's videos of it. You can go on YouTube and see it for yourself and see what you think. I mean,
Yeah, there's a good one by Kate Bush.
Kate Bush?
Yeah, you know that video with Kate Bush and Donald Sutherland? I think it's called Cloud Busting. That's about the Orgone device that can shoot holes in the clouds. That video is it's a perfect analogy of what you just said.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. But I mean, isn't that how didn't they throw Reich in prison? Because
That's what happens in the video too. They throw him in jail, and then his daughter has to run up the hill and start the device to see if it works, and it's all dramatic, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, there you go. You can make these at your house. You just go down, you get yourself go down to Goodwill, get yourself one of those muffin pans that people throw away. Bring it back to your house, get yourself some resin, and you can use anything. Any kind of metal, whatever you choose to put in there, can't you?
I was typing.
Yeah,
I had to catch up because I had to double check. I wasn't giving bunk information. Yeah, Wilhelm Reich's the psychologist guy. Reif is the guy with the machines
Reif.
that work on cancer.
Yeah, I always do that too. Every single time we talk about.
Well, everybody does. Yeah, and then I always have to double. So the Bugs Bunny episode where you are whatever. I have a mansion in the yachts, right? Repeat after me. That's based off of Wilhelm Reich, who was a German psychologist guy that was doing that kind of stuff. They're making fun of him in that episode.
I think he was into some.
Right.
I think he was into some weird shit too.
Yeah.
So if you mistakenly say the one guy's name, people think you're talking. You're talking good about some guy who was a pedophile or whatever, a pederast.
Yeah, and debatably. Involved in some dastardly experiments, right?
That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, we're talking about the other guy, and
right.
Yeah, so I mean, he basically was talking about sexual energy is what was going on, was the main reason that they went after him, right? So he was talking about the Kundalini energy. He was talking about the orgasmic energy that was being generated inside this little canister that you could sit in. You could go in there and sit in there. And he was measuring that, and a lot of those experiments were what they were saying was cause of not that he was cloud busting, but that he was getting into this other type of information that the powers that be didn't want to get out there. What about that?
No, that's a conspiracy that I think is a true conspiracy, actually. He was trying to cure cancer. He was trying to do what we call alternative medicine now. And there are certain establishment people in the truest sense that didn't want that to be done.
Yeah, right? So they were saying that, so they were making it a sexual thing.
Making him out to be a quack, yeah, right.
Yeah. Exactly. So, Polly, what do you know about it? Anything?
No, not. I don't know anything about that.
Other than that movie?
Other than, that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, maybe I'm showing my age here a bit.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about this here, because there was another dude that was taking these rings and making something called Tensor rings. Are you familiar with the Tensor ring? Either of you two guys? And the guy that invented it?
You're talking about oh man,
they
bring it up in vortex, and it's these coils, and it's it's a donut, it's a torrid shape, but it's I'm trying to think of the name of the coils. It'll come to me in a second. I'm not gonna look it up.
So basically they're taking this dude would take a crystal and then wrap these coils around it and make these energy generator devices. And there was these other rings, these tensor rings, and people would use these techniques of putting turns into the wire by taking them.
To levitate them. Yeah, with current.
Yeah. So depending on how many turns there were, it's interesting too, because there was a distinction between a cubit and a sacred cubit, which I found to be interesting because the sacred cubit measurement is different than what is considered a cubit. And when you use that measurement and you use a certain amount of sacred cubic measurements, that it gives a magical quality to the device. And so what people were doing were taking lengths of sacred cubit and like weaving them, putting 3 pieces of wire together and putting it in the end of a drill, and then putting the other end under a nail on the floor and taking the drill and spinning the drill so it turns the 3 copper wires together. It like braids them together. And then you make the ring at a certain circumference, with the sacred cubit measurement. And then that gives this quality to the ring. But if you were to do it with a cubit measurement, it wouldn't be the same thing. And so that's what really is interesting to me, because I never really hear anybody talking about the difference between a cubit and a sacred cubit and as a measurement, which really makes a big deal. It's a big deal because it's a different measurement, and
it's a rodent coil. That's what they are.
Maybe the difference is this. Maybe the difference is a cubit is a measurement of whatever you're talking about, like copper or like felt or whatever. And a sacred cubit is like a shape that we picture. Like there's a pattern for the tree of life. The pattern, like it's a sacred geometry pattern. Maybe it's just the name of one of those patterns.
Could be some cymatic information.
Yeah. Something like that.
They're induction coils, but what it is lens effect, LENZ, and there's all kinds of people got off on that because it's basically how a motor works in a way, right? But also be able to levitate them like that, and then use these different not just shapes, but amount of turns on the coil, these different effects, different whether it's AC or DC energy applied, and how conductive it is. It's pretty interesting stuff, man. It really is, because they end up, there's a whole thing if you go on YouTube, rodent coils. It was like this big thing for 9-10 years ago, where all kinds of videos on it.
And there's something about copper too. Like everybody, you always use copper for some reason. Mm-hmm. Like you'd think, gold or silver or whatever. So I think copper is like this, underdog metal.
Well, it's the basis, like how a magnetic rail train works, is the principle involved, But it's interesting because it can actually levitate this coil. I mean, totally, it's pretty spooky if you've never seen it before. And it was pretty much, I won't say it's a fad, but it kind of got that way on YouTube for a while. Guys are just going off and off. And there was that one guy I forget his name, right? Well, I think it was Rodin that started, right? The vortex mathematics. He was trying to apply the vortex mathematics to this. That's the tie-in from like those videos in 2012, 13 era. There's a lot of them. I got into watching them back then, actually. That whole vortex mathematics. That tied into the electric universe. So they started using them. They started, a lot of cross, no pun intended, pollination there, where you look up one, and then the other would show up in your feed all the time. Yeah, on YouTube.
Well, so the sacred cubit was used by Solomon in the construction of Solomon's temple, and I guess it's the sacred cubit is found a couple times in the Bible. In reference.
Maybe it's just his way of ripping people off.
No, it's the difference between an inch and an inch and a half, Paulie.
Right.
So it's a big difference when you're using it to say that something is astronomically correct by a certain measurement, and their fucking measurement isn't even close. Because they're not using a sacred cubit, which is what they would have been using when they built the pyramid.
It's like the difference between troy ounces of gold and, saying a pound of gold, right? Where a pound of gold, 16 ounces, with us, but it's 10 ounces, troy ounces, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing is Einstein is measuring the speed of light at a certain thing, but then how can he actually measure it when he doesn't have a device to measure it going any faster? So how does he know? How does he know the speed of light? He only knows what ability he has to measure it.
He only knows the mathematical formula.
Anyway, it's one of those things, man. I don't know, because I tried to make some of these Tensor rings myself, based on some of these ideas. There's all kinds of different. There's these. I think it's called a triskelion. I think is one of these, and it's like a 3-ring. It's a 3-armed spiral. I think it's called a triskelion. Anyways,
I tried putting copper in my plant pots once. It didn't seem to make that much of a difference.
No.
Well,
who knows, man? All I know is I definitely believe in Orgone energy. There's no question about that. I mean, hopefully we're not going to get in trouble on YouTube for even saying that nowadays.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, I mean,
they still have all those videos with the Lorentz effect and Lorentz law and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, gone are the days of Orgone censorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
the
thing is like we had Doug called in, and he was just talking about something that had to do with this very same idea of healing with certain types of waves, which I can't use this word that I want to use. But anyway, so there's some censorship going on in that area for whatever reason. So who the hell knows? Bruce McDonald's come back from chasing the jaguar off the property away from the goats. Did you get your goats yet? Did you get your goats yet, Bruce?
Oh, the goats, I got to build a shelter for them first, and I got too much. There's a labor shortage up here now, Jimmy. I got my brother-in-law building armoires. He's finished too. He does beautiful work. I mean, but he hasn't finished the third yet. So then he's got to build me a goat shelter. Goats need a roof. They don't like rain. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but I would say that that's a smart animal.
What do they do in the wild?
Well, it's like the plains of the Serengeti here in Hawaii, man. With goats, we have herds of thousands of them on the Big Island, man.
No.
In Waikoloa area, yeah, thousands of them.
Why? Because they got out like the chickens?
Well, basically, yeah. And there's this big plains. They're on lava rock, and it's just the grass grows there. But they'll find them in the when it's dry. They're on the side of the road, and the reason is the water runs off the asphalt, and the grass is greener on the side of the road. So they come up to right to the side of the road. It'd be like a bunch of them there. But when you go in the interior, and send the drone up, or you get up on a hill and you look up in binoculars, just look around, I swear it's like being on the Serengeti Plain. You look out, there's these huge herds of goats. I've driven through a bunch of them too, like in a daily thing, driving up to for work over there. But man, it's something else, man. I've never seen that many of any animal, let alone goats, man. It's a lot of animals, man.
Well, people don't realize on the Big Island, there's parts of it that looks like Utah.
Yeah, that's what this is. It looks like a plain state kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's ugly, man. It's all brown, bunch of trees laying over on their side. It looks, I mean, it's, but I mean, it's pretty, I mean, people don't realize you can actually ski in Hawaii. A lot of people don't realize that, dude. Have you ever been skiing, Epic?
No, the guy I bought the house from, he left his skis and stuff behind because he always wanted to go up there and do it. And he never made it.
Yeah.
And so they're sitting in my house right now.
That's crazy.
It does snow up there, and snow stays on the ground for a long time too. It's not like it just goes away overnight. It's there quite a while, oftentimes.
So people are saying the center of the core is heating up, and there's a lot of volcanic activity going on across the world. Has there been any volcanic activity over there, Epic Journeyman, recently?
We've been pretty good lately. There was a little bit of a ruckus a couple weeks ago, but it wasn't bad.
See, it's always something. Polynation, what's on your plate, man? What do you got on your table? What's been on your mind?
Well, you just reminded me of something, actually. There's something going off the Pacific coast right now. There's like some kind of pressurized water leak that's like coming up from the bottom of the ocean. And they're saying that this water acts like kind of like a lubricant between two tectonic plates. And so all the earthquake people are kind of like putting on their boots, I guess you could say, to like get ready for a big one on the West Coast. Because this stuff is venting out from, so all this, I guess, what lubricant, whatever you want to call it, it's just water, but it's like this highly pressurized saline water. It's just shooting out from these vents off the West Coast. And they're afraid that it's going to cause some kind of, San Francisco 2.0.
Yeah. Who knows?
I could see that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Well, look, I'll tell you what. Look into it. It's into the microcosm. Here comes Sammy Hagar, Crack in the World. It's interesting in this song. He says things will start separating come 2025. So I don't know, man. Maybe there is something about to happen, but then something's always about to happen, isn't it, Butthead? Rockin' Rio isn't here because he is now working on Fridays. So he's had Fridays off all his life until now, and now he's working on Fridays. So he's still getting used to his schedule. So hopefully he'll be with us tomorrow night. I haven't talked to him. I sent him a message earlier. So we'll see what happens with that. Epic Journeyman, what'd you find out about the leaking dense saline fluid that's coming up between the, what is it, the De La Fuca plate? Is the name of that plate out there?
Yeah, they're looking off the coast of the Pacific Northwest, and it's these hydrothermal vents. for March 2023, the last one I found, March 27th.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting. There's I was looking at the freshwater specifically ones, but this is what I'm finding is most recent thing they're talking about is these hydrothermal vents off of Oregon, well, Pacific Northwest in general. So I'm trying to find specifically the freshwater ones because this is freshwater, but it's also other elements with it. It's these hydrothermal vents. When you see the pictures of them, it looks like spewing fresh water out, but it's actually other chemicals stuff too. No, it's the kind of place you don't want to be. Here in the islands, especially in the Big Island, I've swum on to a number of those vents that are these volcanic vents. You got to be careful. You'd be scorched. You'd be swimming along underwater, doing your thing, diving or snorkeling or whatever, and suddenly hit this real hot spot. And then it's uncomfortably hot, and you're like, "Geez, what I do?" And one of the spots I was like at this boat ramp in Pohiki, they call it. It was really hot one day. I'd gone there, and it was like 2 weeks later that the big eruption happened. So it's definitely a sign. I mean, in my opinion, there's no question that this is exactly what Pollination's talking about, that when this increased activity happens, I mean, that could definitely correlate what happened to what I experienced personally to that eruption. I mean, it happened just a matter of weeks afterwards.
So hold on. So Martin in the chat said sacred cubit is base 1260. Imperial measure closer to British measure, yards, inches, based on Commission measurements.
There's the Egyptian and then the Sumerians base 60, right? Sumerians base 60 mathematics. It's where we get the 60-minute day from.
And now we're back to the oscillations and the
not 60-minute day, but 60-minute hour. Yeah.
Yeah, but then we're back to the cymatics and the oscillation symbols in the Sumerian text.
Yeah. And they're all wearing watches too. If you look at some of those reliefs they have watches on.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Could be sundials on their wrist, but I don't know. It goes to the Syrians too. The Syrians are post-Sumerian, but they have them even in more relief, no pun intended, on their.
What if you just resonate like you resonate at a certain frequency and you're in a certain class of society? Like if you're a low vibrational resonator, you're down there doing the, your sweet.
You're one of those nons.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if you're resonating high, you're a high vibe resonator. You're resonating. You're in a whole different group of people. I mean, you the people you interact with, the people you meet, the people you come in contact with. Everybody's that on that same. They're putting out that same level of frequency that you can only attain through, the gaining of wisdom through hardship and turmoil. What do you think about that? And you got one of those watches on, man. That's the one that says what frequency you're vibrating at.
You know what else they all got in those reliefs? Almost all have is those man purses. That is the weirdest thing. They're in every corner of the world too. They're at Göbekli Tepe and the sculptures there. They're in those Sumerian reliefs and cylinder seals. They're the Syrians. They're everywhere. Those little purse things. People think they're like seed carriers, maybe, and they might be.
They're power banks for their watches. They have Apple watches. They need power banks to keep them charged when they're on long voyages.
Because they're actually hologram generators, right?
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah.
Have you checked out Praveen Mohan on YouTube? He goes to all the Hindu temples and decodes the carvings. And seriously, I mean, you can go over there and get lost in the decoding of some of that stuff and some of it is crazy, literally. And I mean,
ties right into sacred geometry too.
It does.
Cymatics, it's crazy, yeah.
It does, and I mean, it ties right into your Scottish cathedral right there. And that time,
yeah, it's not mine personally, but I may have had a relative that had a hand in saying something about it.
Well, you may have, and I'll say this: that and many other cathedrals across Europe, all carry the key and symbolism to decode the alchemic principles that everybody was looking to try to figure out. That Fulcanelli went and did wrote his book, The Cathedrals, and it's suggested that they each contain symbolism that when you put it together like a puzzle, it would have the fabric and secrets of alchemy all laid out.
Right on. Yeah, I'm totally. I've only recently got into alchemy, but I mean, it's kind of like the last piece of the puzzle for me so far on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hear about alchemy, and then you learn about cymatics, you learn about the way matter is constructed, and like how music seems to match up with all of these things as well, and how plants behave the same. Yeah, it's alchemy just ties it all together.
Well, if you saw a guy walking down the street with a derby and you wanted to magically knock it off his head, you would have to resonate with that derby. My name's Jimmy. It's Into the Microcosm. We're here every Friday night. It's Revolution Radio, fully listener supported. Come on down, become a supporter. There's many ways to support Revolution Radio. Patreon, the Zazzle store, word of mouth, Studio A, Studio B, 7 days a week. Many shows to choose from. Come on down, become a supporter. If you're over on Into the Microcosm, just bust on up there to that red button and push it, and you can make a decision about how you want to support. And if you can't support, like I say, word of mouth, let people know. Every Friday night, 9 Pacific, midnight on the East Coast where Polly's at. Polly, you getting tired? You've been up, beating it out all night up in here?
Yeah, I've usually been at work for about an hour and 20 minutes by now.
So now, what, do you got the night off, or did you call in sick?
No, I got the night off.
Oh, nice. Well, cool, man. You got to keep that money rolling in, especially in these times. You never know.
Yeah.
You may, like I said, YouTube, you could just come to work one day and YouTube wouldn't be there anymore.
You know what? You're right. Yeah.
I know.
What would we do?
I don't know. Did you know that there was an AI listened to 20 Nirvana songs and came up with a new one?
I'm not surprised. Have you heard the Amy Winehouse one?
No.
It's flipping amazing. Like, you'd swear it was Amy Winehouse.
You don't think Amy Winehouse and Lady Gaga are the same person?
They may be, but AI could fool you either way by now.
Wasn't it funny how Amy Winehouse just disappeared? All of a sudden, Lady Gaga took off. Two personas, one more successful than the other.
I saw Amy Winehouse in Austin for South by Southwest before she was famous. It was just her sitting on a stool with an acoustic guitar. No one knew who she was. She was pretty hammered, though.
Mm-hmm. Did she look like
That's her rep, right? Yeah.
Did she look like Lady Gaga?
Yeah, I guess you could say sort of in a way. Yeah, almost.
What if she just went crazy and like went wild with the makeup and put some weird hair together?
Exactly. Yeah, if she did that, she would look exactly like Lady Gaga. Yeah, you're right.
There you go. Well, let me ask you this. When Lady Gaga appeared, also Marilyn Manson disappeared. So it's funny because a lot of people, you can't, I don't know, there was that one video, The Beautiful People. No, it's The Dope Show, where Marilyn Manson comes walking up in this latex female body. Looks kind of like Lady Gaga. I don't know. You never know.
It could be. It could be.
Have you guys seen?
I hope it's not.
Have you seen the video? Have you seen the video? Have you seen Lady Gaga on Howard Stern singing Led Zeppelin? Because she used to be in a Led Zeppelin cover band, is what she says. I'll dig that up. Hang on a second. Let me get that. Let me get that for you. But in the meantime, you got to keep talking so I can search.
Okay. So, do you know how to wake Lady Gaga up in the morning? Poker face.
Yeah, I've heard stories about her from a friend of mine who's like friend of a friend kind of thing, right? That dated her back in the day. It was Stephanie, right? She had dark hair and all that stuff. And the dude started making fun of her when this is the story, secondhand, when she started getting famous, like, oh, it's Lady Gaga and stuff, right? And of course, they broke up, and this is before she made it super big. And I just wonder how that guy feels now. I guess I could ask, you know. But I don't know. You know, I don't know what fame's a weird thing. You know, she didn't seem to like it very much. I've seen her in a couple interviews since, and she went through a whole big bout of depression and all that stuff, and anxiety and all that stuff. So,
yeah, fame's not everything. It's cracked.
That's almost a
up to be.
prerequisite now for huge stars. You have to go
Seems
through
like it,
some
yeah.
sort of a battle, and so it's like almost promoting some kind of pharmaceutical in a way, even.
All right, here she is on the Howard Stern show, and she goes. I think she does Black Dog. Here we go.
You were in a Led Zeppelin cover band.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Hey, mama said the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
Wow.
Hot child, the way you shake that way, gonna make you burn, gonna make you sting.
And that'll tear your voice up, right?
If you don't know how to sing, yeah.
There she goes. Lady Gaga. She kicks ass, no?
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
No, that's good.
I know. See? Now you might just, you know, you might think Lady Gaga wasn't all that, but man, I don't know. Maybe that changed people's minds right there about Lady Gaga. She could be Amy Winehouse. She's got a voice, man.
I hope not.
When she does stuff like this, or she talks in interviews, like the things I've seen her in, she's actually a pretty compelling person to listen to. I mean, she's not she doesn't come across as you'd expect, you know, from her concerts and stuff that they've played, you know.
Or, you know, I mean, the idea of her, because of some of the things that she's done, and you know,
right, the esoteric kind of
well, no, with the LGBT, she gets, she LGBT,
big advocate,
she gets
right.
so she gets a bad rap because of that, or something that she's done, or they say that she's promoting a certain lifestyle to young people who, you know, follow her music or whatever. But I mean, how did we get to a place where pop stars, TV people, all this have become the role models for our children in the first place? You know, that they're up on a pedestal in a situation where somebody's going to idolize them enough to do what they do. And then now all of a sudden, you know, without knowledge to a person, all of a sudden everything a person does is now can be considered being a role model for somebody else in the public eye, when you're in the public eye like she is.
Insanity. You know, I had a revelation today. I don't know if it's meaningful or not, but it's still a revelation that, you know, the Chinese have introduced TikTok to the world. And I got to thinking, you know, what's in a name? TikTok, the bomb is about to go off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's what it is. It's a weapon. It is a weapon.
Twitter.
It's just, yeah. I mean, this is the thing that I don't think that we're prepared for. I know we're not prepared for. People are not prepared for the fact that the way that social media has been manipulated, particularly when AI takes over social media, which it will, right, and targets people individually, which it already does, we don't have any defense for it, man. We don't.
Oh,
and yeah.
I'm working on a defense for it. It's called How to Train Your Algorithm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like How to Train Your Dragon, right? How to Train Your
So
Algorithm.
far, I only have the title so far. Maybe if someone can help me with that.
Well, the
I think you unplug, man.
Polly, go over there and give out your Discord for people that want to get your information so they can take care of getting some seeds for themselves. Let me go over to Revolution Radio chat room, and I'll post what you post over there. We're still number 9 on TalkStream Live. What's up, TalkStream Live? Good to see you. What's happening? Well, I've got a big week coming up, man. I mean, every single day. Did you see the video, so-called Joe Biden's double with the latex mask wrinkling up when he scratched the back of his neck? You seen that?
No.
There's a video.
No.
There's a video where the Joe Biden scratches the back of his neck and his latex mask wrinkles up on the back of his neck.
Well, hopefully somebody got fired for that.
Hey, don't be watching that non-stuff. Yeah.
It's too much, man. At this point, It's like a cartoon of itself, wouldn't you say? I mean, the way things are, and the countless amounts of hours that go by in a day, with thousands of people running their lips and flapping their jaws about all this stuff, that hasn't kind of gotten to be a cartoon of itself, of what it proposed itself to be so long ago.
It's like Ren and Stimpy cartoon.
I mean, it's like getting the word out, and all this. Oh yeah, Tucker and Rogan, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just
Tucker Rogan syndrome.
Yeah, the Tucker Rogan.
That's a good name though isn't it for a host? We'll make an AI host called Tucker Rogan.
Yeah,
I
totally.
Totally, right?
AI is gonna do that.
It's all too much.
That's awesome.
That's so funny. All right, well, listen, we got about 10 minutes left. Any final ideas at this point? I mean, it's gone. So it's at this point anything goes, and it might be because there's only 8.9 miles left till we reach the tipping point, and everybody knows it. In other words, why would you go through all this effort? Why would you slowly go through all this effort to destroy everything across the world, every single thing that's been in existence as a system, as our civilization, how we've existed as a civilization for all this time? And now all of a sudden they're just going to take it apart piece by piece, blow it up, poison people, go through all this. Why would they do all that? Or they made enough
before everything hits the fan. That's what they're doing.
They made enough money.
It's harvest time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's childhood's end. It's totally the end of the movie or the series of the book. Yep.
Makes no sense, man. No one would do that. Why would you poison your own well?
Because you know that the actual catastrophe isn't anything that you can control. It's going to happen whether or not you're here or not. It's going to happen either way. It's not them that's making it happen.
No.
They know it's going to happen. They're
right.
just trying to get as much shit before it happens
exactly.
away from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have those man purses and wear that watch. You know what time
that's
it is?
Right.
You have to shit in the bag.
That's right. There you go. Epic journey.
They want to be the next Thoth or the next, freaking Mercury or whatever. That's what they want to be. Yeah. The people that build the next civilization.
Mm-hmm. The people that show up with the top hats and have one hand in their jacket.
Right. In like 1,000 years, people will be like, oh, there was this dude in a top hat and he told us how to do math.
It's like the episode.
I have like a still from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
It'll be on a wall like a Sumerian relief, right?
Exactly. He'll be carved in stone.
Right, with the Oompa Loompas. Apparently these little people served this big guy that taught everything. Must be God.
And then in 2,000 years, everybody will be like, hey, how come all these guys have these silly little hats everywhere, all over the world? They carry these hats everywhere.
Right.
Well,
yeah, it could totally happen. That's the thing.
What was the episode of Star Trek, the original cast and crew?
With the Constitution at the end, or the
yeah. It was the cavemen, and they were like, one were the comms, and the other ones were what were the other ones? The pubs. I don't remember what they
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were constantly fighting each other, and the one guy, Kirk, knew the Constitution by heart, and the guy started to read it out of the book, out of some papers, burnt piece of paper that he found in the nuclear
sacred
waste.
Book,
yeah. The
sacred scroll.
The sacred scroll. It was the last piece of paper. It floated down out of the sky after the nukes went off. They saved it, and they fought, and they died for it. And Kirk starts reciting it to him.
You're reading it wrong.
What was the name? What was the name of that Star Trek episode? Do you know?
I'm trying to think. I don't know the name of that one off the top of my head.
Hey, you can ask ChatGPT to answer any question as Kirk as Kirk. You can it'll spell out the pauses.
Oh, awesome!
It's pretty funny.
I don't know.
Here it is. Here it is. Man, I found it, Jack. That's because I scour the earth to bring cutting edge information at 7 minutes to midnight on the West Coast. Here's Kirk.
Sir, we picked up communicator signals.
We'll discuss that later, Lieutenant. Leslie, free Dr. McCoy and Mr. Spock. Put Captain Tracy under arrest.
Aye, sir.
Now, Cloud William.
You are a great God's servant. We are your slaves.
Get up. Face me.
When you would not say the holy words of Evangelista, I doubted you.
I did not recognize those words. You said them so badly. Without meaning.
No, no. Only the eyes of a chief. They see the E plebnista.
The E plebnista.
This was not written for chiefs.
What's your reading?
Hear me. Hear this! Among my people, we carry many such words as this from many lands, many worlds. Many are equally good and are as well respected. But wherever we have gone, no words have said this thing of importance in quite this way. Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words, proudly saying, "We the people." That what you call Id plebnista was not written for the chiefs or the kings, for the warriors or the rich or the powerful, but for all the people. Down the centuries, you have slurred the meaning out of the words, "We the people of the United States," in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution. These words and the words that follow were not written only for the Yangs, but for the Coms as well.
The Coms?
They must apply to everyone, or they mean nothing. Do you understand?
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamine.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Lullabies in an ancient tongue.
Politicians, fuel fire. Innocent wait, we're now on fire. 21st century schizoid man.
They destroyed the world. They destroyed the world. They destroyed the world.
The entire Los Angeles area. Already hospital facilities have begun to crack under the strain, and civil defense authorities state that the situation is much the same across the entire country. Martial law is now nationwide.
Major cities in all parts of the country, New York, Los Angeles, report plague victims falling dead in the streets, in their homes, at their work. The first symptom appears to be severe choking, followed by immediate unconsciousness. Death occurs within minutes.
All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Take care. Florida.
I am.
Zach Wilds here. Polynation, thanks for joining us, bro. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. See you tomorrow night, 7 Pacific, on the Independent Broadcast Network, and of course here. See you guys later, eh?
Cheers. Stay ready.
You say that you're damned. You say that your life isn't fair. What's right and what's wrong? You got your needs and you just don't care. On and on we drift back to where we were before.
Don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens.
I will not walk through that door. Oh, no, no. I may be blind, but I'll find my way. Oh, yeah, like a lost prayer on a stormy day. Oh, stormy day. You can carry your grudge. I've severed these ties.